Hello. Can you guys hear me? That is the question. Excellent. Could this be a stream with no issues? Almost certainly not. Almost certainly not. But we'll see. I have my friend here, Pumpkin. He is sleeping. He is very sleepy. We will see how that goes. Let me just check on my end. Stream, Twitch seems good. But we'll see. I have my friend here, Pumpkin. Okay, that seems good. Let's just check my mic, because I want to make sure I have the right mic. Fairly certain. I'm not. Let's just double check. So, how does that sound? Let's check. Doesn't sound like the right one, but it could be just the rune. Testing. Testing. Are we sure it is not the right one? I think it is now. Sure it is not the right one. I think it should be the right one now. It should be the right one now. Right. We'll roll with that. Right. We'll roll with that. So let me we'll roll with that. So let me do a couple things here. All right. Let's go over to the screen. Excellent. Let's pull up SpacetimeDB.com. So word on the street is that you guys, or this is my profile. Word on the street is that you guys were interested in talking about the new pricing and the new prices, I suppose, and then possibly where we might go in the future. So I'm happy to. Music is a hair too loud. That is easy to fix. We're gonna scoot that down. Just like so. How about now? Their weird, funky music. How do we feel about that? Bit more. For me, it's actually quite quiet, so I wonder what I've got cooking on there. Let's bring that on down. Gotcha. Probably. Maybe, how about now? How is the music now? Music's great. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna scoot it back up in actual pretzel rocks here. But bring it down a little bit in here. Sounds great. Okay. So yeah, so I've got the calculator open here. The calculator's, excuse me, something that we worked on to just make it a lot simpler to understand what's going on. So one of the things, if you guys recall the old pricing, we had a lot more like different kinds of things that we were measuring, and the benefit of that is you can kind of really tailor it specifically to the workload, but the downside of that is it's not so easy to predict what the price will be. So we wanted to make it much simpler. In some sense, I wanted to get it down to just three things, which is the fundamental three features of SpacetimeDB, actually, which is basically function calls, reducer calls, tables, and bandwidth. Right? If you remember, in the keynote, I actually only mentioned there are only three features. One is calling reducers, two is subscribing, and three is storing things in tables. So these sort of correspond exactly to those three features. And that was the goal there. The thing with reducer calls specifically is that obviously no two reducer calls are alike. And so you basically have two options when you have a situation like that. One, you can say like, all right, we're going to set a high price per reducer call, sort of like a worst case scenario. What is this music? we're going to switch over to some lo-fi. I think that's going to be just a little bit more chill. You can sort of set a worst case scenario, and then you can target that as the price. So this would be basically if we just had a fixed cost per reducer call, but we decided, all right, we'll sort of simulate what a reducer call will be, and then we'll give people these sort of deeper options if they want to. These numbers I came up with based on some testing of like what a medium-sized reducer might do. The CPU instructions are too unknown. So one thing that we could do that we've talked about, let's go over these 6 things first, and we'll just explain what they are. So bytes scanned are the bytes that you're scanning to read into your module. Also, when you're scanning for subscriptions as well, if I recall correctly. And this is just like how much work are we doing inside the host. These 2 represent, well, I suppose these 3 represent what the work we do inside the host. So there are only sort of 3 things. You can put things in the database, you can pull things out of the database, but more than that, you can like sort of look things up individually in the database. And this is a more complex operation, so we wanted to break it out. But fundamentally, that's what it is. So this is like looking things up, and then this is what you're doing, spending time inside of WebAssembly, or in some cases in JavaScript. And Dovos brings up a point, hey, it's too unpredictable. So we always have the option of saying like, you know what, forget breaking this down, right? We're just going to sort of set a pessimistic scenario for reducer calls, and we'll just charge for reducer calls. This is what a lot of platforms do. I think Supabase might do this. Let's look up Supabase pricing and see what they have. They have like it's not quite the same, but they basically have edge functions. Yeah, so they just do 2 million included and then $2 per million function calls. And in our case, we're charging 59 cents if you're assuming that this is your average function call time. And the problem that we run into a little bit here, so like we're cheaper clearly than Supabase here, which is charging $2 per million. But the thing that sort of Supabase can count on is that generally speaking for web development and websites, your function calls are relatively small. You're not doing a huge amount of work in there. But for game development as well as sort of general purpose development, you could have a reducer that runs for quite a long time and does quite a lot of things. So we're kind of in the situation where like if you put all of the cost on reducer calls, that actually sort of super benefits game developers who will do larger but relatively fewer reducer calls. And then there's some details there, but more or less. Or if you go with what we're doing, which is sort of setting it like this, if you set the price of CPU instructions too small, then basically web developers are getting away with murder and game developers are the only ones who pay because it's sort of balanced. So that's just the situation. One thing that Dovos brings up is like, hey, it's fine to break it down. We just need to be able to measure and like actually know and like debug and actually know how is this happening. For reducer calls specifically, what we would like to do, and this is on the roadmap, is, for example, if you make an HTTP request, return in the headers the bytes scanned, the bytes written, the index seeks, and the functions called, or somehow allow you to print it in the log, right? So you can imagine decorating your reducer with like print energy metrics. And then in the logs, you'll see anytime that reducer is called, you'll see the actual energy metrics that it used. And I think that would be very helpful for predictability. Man, I would like my camera to focus. That would be helpful for predictability. Definitely something that we can do. Definitely want to do that. The other thing that would be helpful for predictability is just sort of lowering the cost overall of these metrics, but sort of setting a minimum cost. So that is to say, for example, for CPU instructions, you can say like, hey, look, every reducer, no matter how complicated, is going to be like at least $1 million. CPU instructions. But then what we're going to do is reduce the overall cost of CPU instructions. And so that sort of means that if you're doing a bunch of small calls, you will still be not... there's overhead for each call, right? Like we have to process the HTTP request, we have to process the WebSocket request, it has to go through the host all the way to the module. There's like memory allocation potential that needs to happen or you have to pull out resources from the thing. So sort of there's a fixed overhead for each call. And then we could say anything above that starts to be sort of pay as you go, where you sort of have this base load and then pay as you go, but this is per reducer call. And I think that could be helpful because then we could lower the price because we don't have to sort of be so defensive against those sort of small reducer calls. Me and my 19 billion CPU instructions per call are hiding in the corner. Right. There's another thing too, which is interesting, and actually, Beerbag, I wanted you to reach out to Jeff internally. I didn't message you, but I should have. Where the challenging thing that we also have is that currently WASM instructions are all treated similarly, like the same. So basically they all count for 1, but a memory allocation is a lot more expensive on our side than doing math. And so the most expensive thing to do right now, let me rephrase. The least efficient thing to do right now is just math, because that's sort of saying, I'm going to pay the price per instruction, but they're actually very easy for SpacetimeDB to physically carry out, right? So right now, an addition is the same as a division. And so if you're doing a bunch of additions, we're sort of charging you as though they might be divisions, but they're actually additions. And so your scenario is kind of the worst case. And obviously, it would be nice if WASM time gave us the ability to reduce that down, sort of break that down into different things, but we can't do that. So there's sort of a way that we can kind of work around that. Is there a known value of CPU instructions a scan and so on needs? It really depends on the... it depends on the size of your table, right? If you're scanning on a larger table, it's going to take more instructions. Hey, Kit's from DC here. I think Doa's point of profiling is very important, but that already assumes a familiarity with the platform and a finished product developed in it. So I think examples are just the most important thing in the moment, that you get somewhat of an idea before actually developing something. I know this is tricky because different languages have different performance and so on. Yeah, I think that's the tricky thing, is like, people just want to know predictable. They can work with a price. They just need to know what it's going to be. And that was part of the reason why we want... Oh my goodness, why is the chat so enormous here? Maybe I can fix that real quick. But that's the thing that we wanted to address. I guess it's not that big. That's the thing that we wanted to address with this, is like, hey, we were breaking it down super specifically in the previous thing, and we're going to be like, all right, if you're not doing this, but you're doing that, but it just ends up being super unpredictable. And so, especially if we were to break it down to just these 3 options, people will know, generally speaking, how much they're going to do for reducer calls. They would need a way to measure bandwidth, but even this could be a simplified bandwidth that's easier for you to calculate and not just like an actual number of bytes sent to clients. It has to be like, it has to correlate with that, right? Because obviously we don't want to be charging people who aren't sending a lot of data. And then table storage is also fairly easy to predict because it's using the psatin format and calculating how many bytes that is. So you could do that yourself. But I think just providing more ways to show how much energy, or sort of how much table storage is a given table using, how many rows are in that table, the sort of bytes per row, the average bytes, more metrics, better visibility is another way to do that as well. Well, the next thing that needs to be done is optimize the reducers to not burn through all the budget. That is helpful. Well, I mean, one thing to think about is we're also trying to evaluate, did we get the pricing right? We might have gone a little too aggressive on pricing. It's one thing, it's easier to lower prices than it is to raise them, obviously. So we want to make sure that we're not sort of scaling negative margins where we don't have enough of an overhead. So we set our prices a little conservatively. And I think we want to look at some of the workloads that people have and see if we can kind of make sure we've dialed in the pricing. Well, what needs to be done is optimize the reducers to not burn through all the budget. Yes, that is. Oh, well, I guess one thing I want to say about that is just, it's been actually pretty incredible to see people optimize all of their stuff as soon as we introduce pricing. I guess I imagined that would be the case. But one of the cool things about the pricing and kind of breaking it down in a detailed way is that the fewer bytes you scan, the fewer bytes you write, the fewer index seeks you do, and the fewer CPU instructions, the more performant your application is. So you can do a larger scale. Like, if you reduce the amount of that you're using, then you can do more per player, and you can reach a larger scale for your game. And so we tried, and this has actually worked way better than I thought, to sort of align our incentives. So if we give you this pricing and it's detailed, then you can actually then re-architect your application to use less energy, which also makes it more performant, and was kind of a win-win. So that's pretty fun. So I've actually seen that a little bit with like Ethereum. People try to like really optimize the gas prices because it's so expensive. It's like a million times more expensive than SpacetimeDB. And so people really try to get sweaty on that one. Question: how would you stop abuse of the SpacetimeDB endpoints, since I could see some people spanning a public reducer? This is something that I will raise 2 points on. One, this is something that I've talked to people who work at Firebase, people who work at Supabase, people who work at other platforms. It's something that everybody's concerned about, but that is actually never really a problem, or very, very rarely a problem, or so rarely a problem that it doesn't matter. However, it's also a problem that people are always concerned about. So this is something that almost every client at Firebase or Supabase or these platforms, they all bring it up because they're terrified. They don't want to wake up to an enormous bill. That's fair enough. Even though in practice it doesn't usually happen. So I think there are a couple things we can do. One, there's a couple of technical things we could do. So we can make it so you could say, hey, I want to rate limit individual clients, right? So I want to make sure that I want to put down a sort of a per client basis. They can only use this much energy per minute. So they would have to kind of do a DDoS instead of just a DOS if they wanted to use a bunch of my thing. So you can do stuff like that. You can also obviously put a limit on your own stuff. So you can say, hey, I don't want to spend more than this, and if I end up spending more than this, I want you to shut it down or pause it. That's a trade-off. And then the last one is obviously we want to work with people. We don't want people waking up to an enormous bill that they didn't intend for because they've gotten attacked. So it's something that we can, look for at billing time to try to make that more fair. Yeah, that's what we would like to do. But we've on BigCraft certainly had people taking advantage of our APIs as much as possible, but it's not really a problem for us. And there are things we added. So for example, we have like a row limit, so people can't just subscribe to everything. Like clients can't just do anything they want. They're kind of limited by that. So it's rate limiting basically. I want to say the notifications last 72 hours that call out info like reducer update is the most impactful reducer with CPU usage at 2.42 milliseconds per minute is so helpful. Thank you so much. We actually put a good amount of work into that, and I think that is going to be really cool. One of the things that we also can do is we can look and see, this is something we learned from BigCraft. A lot of the time your performance is just destroyed because you don't have an index. So we want to provide, notifications that say like, hey, you're doing a lot of scanning of this, or yeah, I guess a lot of scanning on this table, but you're scanning where you're looking to look for a particular value. So perhaps you should consider adding an index. That's only really valuable for the query engine, because in the module, the physical API sort of doesn't allow you to look up a point value without adding an index. And that was the intention of that. Because in BigCraft, we came upon like, I don't know, a dozen different scenarios where it was like, why is this so slow? well, we're looking up a point value and it doesn't have an index. So that's kind of the idea there. More of that would be so gas. You will have more of that for sure. My biggest question is still what an index seek is. The whole query on a unique constraint, or is it the whole query on a unique constraint, or does it depend on the number of rows, how many index seeks a unique index query needs? So if you do it, if you have a unique constraint or an index, it's any time that you access the index. So I'll put this in chat. Maybe I can just pull it up actually in here. So let me just open this up here. Let's go to like, I don't know. We'll go to like one of the example projects. I think it's TS, no, module TS, test TS. So we have some sample things. So an index lookup would be like, for example, inside of this function. This is in TypeScript, but we could do any language. db dot if I do person, does person have an index? So anytime you access a particular field, and you see how it says unique index here. So id dot find would be an index lookup. That's what that means specifically. So it means anytime you have a table, but you're looking it up by a particular value. The alternative to that would be to scan, and to scan would be on the table itself. So instead of on the ID column, you would be able to do like, I don't believe count actually does a scan, but iter. Iter would scan the table because it's going to iterate all the rows in the table and give them over to you. So that would not count for an index seek. And the general idea here is that, I mean, certainly it should never be the case that it's cheaper, and we have to be careful about that to scan than to look up an index. Like an index, we don't want the meta to be that like, oh, hey, I don't want to use the index thing because it's expensive. So instead I'm going to do like, I'm going to iterate through my table and I'll look for my values. That would be very bad because it's a bad incentive. Because iter is actually somewhat expensive. But the idea is that actually looking up an index value has some overhead to it because you actually have to go into a B tree or whatever and look through things, and it's just a little bit higher cost. And you're not actually looking through a lot of bytes, and so that's why that's broken out into a separate thing, because you're actually looking for a small number of bytes, but you're kind of hopping around memory a bit in the host. So that is what an index seek is. It's any time that you do the table and then dot a column like this. Well, that would be in Rust. This would be in... I believe update does not do an index seek by that metric. Let's see. There are enough scary stories about that. I think, Dobos, you're talking about like a surprise bill of some kind. And Mr. Joe Mungrander, Mr. Joe R. Mungrander. It's a fun name. So a unique find is always one index seek, no matter how many rows. That's correct. Just one. But let me talk about some of the limits thing, because we put actually quite a bit of work into ensuring the limits are important, because one of the worst things that can happen to somebody is like there are two bad things, and they're at odds with each other. One bad thing is I wake up and I have a $100,000 bill, and it's like, oh no, what happened? That's catastrophic. The other bad thing is I don't get a $200,000 bill, but I had a limit or I ran out of energy and now my app stopped and it was down for 24 hours and I didn't know about it, right? So obviously alerting can help with that, but also just kind of having an idea of how much, why do I keep going to my account? I want to go to my profile. How much energy I have remaining is important. So right now I have unlimited energy on this battery because I have enabled pay-as-you-go. But if I were to go into account, I would go into energy usage. My energy usage is not high because I'm just testing on here. And I would turn off pay-as-you-go. Then what happens is it shows me how much energy I have, and it's as a battery. And we actually came up with this. It took a while for us to understand it's a good idea. But it's a battery, and so it's very clear for you to see I am on low battery or I am on high battery. And when this battery runs out, your module will stop. And this battery applies even if I have pay-as-you-go enabled, so that goes to just the amount I've used. But if I turn on a limit also, so if I say like, hey, I want to limit myself to just 100, then my battery now represents the full 100 that I can go before I will actually stop the module. And that's really, really important to kind of know this. And we want to improve this, so we start to send you alerts like, hey, you're only at 20% energy. You're only at 10% energy. Like, you should log on, or we can send you an email, or you can set up a way for like PagerDuty to connect to whatever it is. So then you can kind of go in here and you can say like, all right, well, I want my limit to be whatever I'm comfortable with waking up to a surprise because I got a huge amount of traffic in the middle of the night. But I want to be woken up if it's getting low, because I want to know what's happening. So that's the other way we want to do that. And we've kind of put a lot of work into that. So let me look into chat here. We got some questions. I actually learned this the hard way. I had a table without a unique primary key, and once I hit about 2,000 rows, my server started dying. It got to the point where I just trying to insert a single new row would crash the whole thing because I was struggling to process the data without an index. Well, inserts should actually not be particularly indexes generally improve read performance, and they generally hurt write performance a little bit. They're usually like they turn read performance from like O of n to like O of 1, and they make write performance like 20% slower. So it's like almost always, if you have over a certain amount of things, it makes sense to have an index. Do you know if the pricing will be the same for all main cloud regions in the future, or can we expect some differences? That is an interesting question. That is a very interesting question. I suspect there will need to be different prices because, for example, we've already had clients that we've had to deploy nodes in a particular data center because they want to be next to other clients that they have. And we are beholden to the prices of whatever that data center wants to provide. So for example, we don't use AWS in general, and that saves us a lot of money, nice. But there are some people that need to be in the AWS data center because everybody else is in the AWS data center, and we get those prices. So it's a good question. I suspect that it will need to have regional pricing, but if we can avoid that, we would like to, because we don't want, it's just simpler if people don't have to do that. Yeah, I don't have any modules running. But that's a great question. One thing that we also will offer, so if we go to the pricing page again, we also have the team tier, and team tier is going to have the ability to reserve dedicated nodes. So this is like, if you have a team, you have a startup or whatever, and you just want predictable pricing, you'll pay a fixed amount of energy for the whole machine every month. And then you don't have to worry about like, oh, am I using a lot of index seeks? It's like, no, you get the whole machine. You don't have any noisy neighbors. They're not doing anything. You have the whole machine. So this would be a good option for something like, for example, Bitcraft, where we know we have a very predictable workload. There are 9 regions in the game, and we would like to use up the whole machine. We want, if we get a big spike in traffic, we want to do that. We're happy to pay a little bit of an overhead to have the whole machine, and to know that like that's just what it's going to be. That's the pricing. The other thing is we want to make it so that for sure the $25 tier is pretty much a no-brainer for anybody who wants to do a little bit of development on SpacetimeDB. So if that means that we need to reduce the cost of the pay-as-you-go in order to make this sort of even more attractive, I think that's what we would like to do. And soon, TM Pogly, yes. I hope so. How is Pogly going? I mean, how is the, maybe Chippy can tell us a little bit about how the pricing is looking for Pogly. Because one thing that we obviously have is we have the data on sort of how much energy people are using, but we don't know what their workload is. So it's unclear, are the prices what we expect for some of that? I would be curious. The other thing we can do at some point here is we can play a little, ooh, what is up with that? Is that Firefox? SpacetimeDB logo. It's outrageous. Napkin math is looking fairly good. Yeah, we would like to do that. Also, I'll call out for anybody who hasn't done it, referring friends to SpacetimeDB can get you up to 1 million TEV permanently per month. So I just want to be clear. If you refer enough people, you will have 1 million TEV per month forever. So get that ref link cooking, because it will save you a lot. Obviously, no fraud, please. No creating emails. To do that, so if they upgrade from free to pro, you get an additional this. And again, this is permanent. So it just increases your monthly credit. It increases this number. My number is weird because I actually have less than I should because of a bug that we fixed while we were testing. I think it's our way of wanting to say, like, look, I mean, there's two ways that we can, our early users can help us, right? Obviously, one is by using the platform, but the other one is just by spreading it. And the way exponentials work is that if you have a lot of people join later, then being very generous with the early folks doesn't really cost you anything. So that's what we wanted to do. Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. We also, I'll mention this, we have a new demo coming on the homepage, which we've been working on for a while, and I think it's going to be good. And I think we have just a new homepage in general, which is going to be exciting. Also, the docs are going to be reworked. We're already working on this. Currently, they're kind of organized by language. You got Unreal Engine tutorial, and you've got Unity tutorial, and you've got all the different languages. And we would like to reorganize them by concept. So it's more of a reference. So you can say, like, oh, I want to know how scheduled reducers work. And you go to the scheduled reducer section, and then you can choose the language you want there. So instead of it being about that, I think we'll flip it around. Well, I did check your pricing yesterday. I believe it's a fairly good one, at least for startup. The ref system is icing on the cake. Awesome. I'm really glad to hear it. I'm super excited to see how people do with the ref system. That's going to run for a couple months. It's going to be a fixed amount of time, probably after the 2.0 keynote presentation, which I may or may not have already recorded last week. And so it's pretty exciting. There's some very cool stuff that we are going to be announcing there. A lot of it, if you follow us, you'll hear about a lot of it, but 2.0 is coming, and with 2.0 we get to break the APIs, which we have not done except for in TypeScript this time around. So one of the coolest things of 2.0, event tables. They are coming. And that will also, by the way, cut down on actual bandwidth usage by quite a bit. Non-pricing related question. Are you guys still thinking about switching from TCP to reliable UDP? I think it's really a question of, like, do we have clients that really, really need it? So we haven't, it's not been on our radar so much because TCP has been working fine for us, and it's been working fine for most of our clients, and it's been working fine for web, right, which we want to also be able to support. But there's really nothing, like, if this is one of those things that if somebody was really motivated, we would absolutely accept a contribution for. But I think it would have to come with some kind of a design doc saying, like, hey, this is how I'd like to do reliable UDP. I would have expected that procedures are fixed first. I don't know what you mean by that. I think you mean scheduled procedures. We need to move blobs to a CDN pronto. Yeah, I mean, we could just also reduce the price of bandwidth. Although, I mean, in general, a CDN would be better just because it's going to be closer to your users, so they're going to load faster. Ideally, you'd be able to load them in via a procedure and then upload them. Like, we want you to not have to be able to launch another server. So from a procedure, you can upload to a CDN. That would be the best of all worlds. And then you can just use whatever, you can like hash it or whatever and upload it there. So I'd be really curious to know if you end up doing that with a procedure, Chippy. Is native SQL support going to be enhanced? This is a great question. I've seen your contributions, Igor Manga. We appreciate that very deeply. I'm always kept apprised of the changes you're making and the tickets you're creating. It's very helpful. It will be. we're going to be just continuing to do that over time. SQL support is kind of like a Pareto principle thing. No matter what you do, like you can do 80% and there's 20% remaining, and you do 80% of that, there's 20% remaining of that. So it's kind of a long tail, but we are going to be, there's still a great set of low-hanging fruit to do there. So we do want to do that. We cannot do everything simultaneously. So ever consider relicensing to a more permissive license? AGPL feels really restrictive if you want to self-host. I don't see how it would be restrictive. So AGPL, we have AGPL plus a linking exception. So the only idea there is we just want, if you make a change to SpacetimeDB, we want it to go back into the open source community. It's the same idea for Linux. It's very important that we have the linking exception because we don't want any of your code. We just want, if you make a change to our code, it to come back to SpacetimeDB. So I'd be curious to know, practically speaking, what restriction you are talking about. Because, yeah, again, we don't want any changes. We don't want any of your code. We're not interested in making anything that other people make open source. Feature complete is probably the better word. Yes, we have a lot of tickets for that, and we're planning to make them feature complete. It's very important. 2.0 is not here, but that's one of the things that we need to do. Hello, Frisk. Welcome in. We have almost 65 gigabytes of bandwidth in 3 days. That's a lot of bandwidth, yeah. It's not... so, SpacetimeDB uses... I'm sorry, Bitcraft uses, like... We did the math. It uses a lot. We also have backups, like leaving the node. I think we use something like 40 terabytes. 40... Yeah, like 40 terabytes of bandwidth a month or something like that. Which is a lot. Well, that's the thing. There are many things we could do to improve something on our side to reduce the cost and not just asking for a lower price. That's true. I've seen people do that. I actually watched the devlog. What is devlog of... I don't remember the channel name. Where he reduced the usage by 68 times. I think the only sad thing is it might have been at the cost of some fidelity in the game. And ideally, we don't have people sort of taking shortcuts because the pricing is too high. So I do want to monitor that. You know, we want people to think that main cloud is the obvious way to deploy. We are looking for adoption. We don't need an enormous margin for our 5 people. We would like more people to join and use SpacetimeDB than we would like to make money from the people we have. But we have our clients send the data to SpacetimeDB using bandwidth procedure. Let's see. We have to have our clients send the data to SpacetimeDB using bandwidth. Bandwidth does not... ingress for SpacetimeDB does not count against bandwidth. Lethal ship. So, just to be clear, uploading to SpacetimeDB does not cost any bandwidth. So if you were to send your data to SpacetimeDB via a procedure and then upload it, no cost. It's really called egress. I mean, it should be called egress bandwidth. Maybe we should clarify that, because I think Supabase does that. Some don't. Let's see. Yeah, for example, it's egress in particular. We were probably going to have the clients upload to CDN and then get the ref and upload the ref. You could do that too. I think it'd be cooler if you did it via procedures. But and I would also be interested to know if you run into blockers there. But I've been furiously optimizing. Oh my gosh, I mean, it's cool that we're all kind of aligned on that. I just don't want it to go so far that like people are not able to build the apps they want because they're like cutting so many corners internally. Will we get self-hosted multi-node support? You certainly can. We have self-hosted multi-node support. That would be, we just talk to us. So we have an enterprise license for that. And the multi-node version of SpacetimeDB is very cool, to be honest. So the multi-node version has this concept of what we call the control DB, which runs on several nodes. And the control DB is itself a SpacetimeDB database, and it controls all of the scheduling of databases. So scheduling on where each database should go, and it monitors the traffic and the situation on SpacetimeDB and keeps track of all of the different databases and where they're located, and so but you can query them with a SQL query because it's just a database, and we can also write all the logic in Rust because it's just a SpacetimeDB database. So you can just say like, oh hey, if you've published, and one interesting thing too is then if we added intermodule communication, which technically we already have because we have exposed the HTTP API via procedures. But if we added intermodule communication, then what you could do is actually just create a database by sending a message to the control database, which is itself a database. And so that would create a database, which is very exciting. With 2.0 and schema break, is there going to be a somewhat easy way to migrate, or is it going to be a manual thing? What do you mean by schema break? Because there's a lot of different ways you could be talking to that. I don't believe 2.0, we don't have anything on the schedule that will break the... Like, we could, but we don't currently have a thing that's going to change the file format. If we did, we'd write a tool to allow you to migrate. So you would take your old data directory, you'd run the tool, and then it would be ready for 2.0. But I believe as of right now, we're not planning to change that. It's more like changing the connection between clients and servers is one thing that we missed there. Things like removing reducer callbacks because they have problems, which you identified actually originally. I must have missed the linking exception. I thought it would be if I use SpacetimeDB, I would also have to license my game under AGPL. Which it would prevent me from linking to proprietary libraries. So yeah, no, we don't want that. And if that were the case, we would be very sad. But it's a linking exception. Again, we're not interested in anybody else's code. They may keep that proprietary all they want. It's just, if Amazon made Amazon SpacetimeDB, we want the code that they write that changes SpacetimeDB to go back into the community. And I think that's a reasonable request. One question I had is, why are the deleted rows sent as whole and not primary key if it exists? Because we could have done that and didn't. It was easier. But one day, we plan to do that. Actually, we probably will have not only just primary keys, but like a row key. So even if there isn't a primary key, we could do that. There's some details there. It's actually a little complicated. Devlogging question. Oh, thank you so much for posting the devlogging question. Huge clarification. Oh, that needs to be changed, ideally. I don't know what that needs to be changed, ideally, refers to, because I'm way behind on the chat. How does it not cost the bandwidth to send to the CDN? That's a good question. I guess that would be egress. I don't actually know that we're charging for bandwidth sent out via HTTP requests. So I bet right now it doesn't cost anything. And maybe we'll keep it that way. It's really just subscription bandwidth. So. Multi-node is like server meshing. Multi-node is, it can be used for server meshing. It's not inherently server meshing itself. It's just saying, hey, I have a SpacetimeDB database that looks like it runs on an infinitely large machine, but that each database is limited to the size of one machine. So for example, I can deploy as many databases on it as I want. Main Cloud is the multi-node version. So Main Cloud can have millions of databases, and we just keep adding nodes, and they'll keep running. But an individual database obviously still needs to be able to fit on a single node. Server meshing would be closer to intermodule communication, but more than that, you need to be able to do like physics across net if you want to do something like what Star Citizen does. Is it possible to clone a module using the table data to create a new instance? That is planned. So we plan to. It turns out we're writing an operating system, Devos, and all of the Unix syscalls are relevant. So, for example, fork and spawn make a lot of sense for SpacetimeDB. So it should be able to sort of within a database fork a database and create a new database, maybe with the same exact data, or spawn a new database with the same code. So no data but same code. Any improvements for full stack TypeScript coming soon? Absolutely. So I assume full stack you mean like more integrations. So we plan to integrate with Vue, React, Svelte, I think maybe TanStack. There's quite a few others. But we really want to make it possible for web dev to happen on SpacetimeDB. So it's something we're going to invest in quite a lot of resources. So you should see something improve there for sure. Better tutorials, more example projects. We'd like to do things like integrating Stripe, so people can just charge, like set up Stripe integrated, send emails, that kind of thing. Like right now, I just can do that with procedures, but it would be easier if you kind of just break that in there. The time aspect of SpacetimeDB, when? Rewinding is the most waited for promised feature for me. Yeah, it's a good question. We are actually discussing it now. So I don't know. We don't want to agree to doing more than we can do and then not do all of them well. But that's pretty exciting. So I think one feature that we're looking at is particularly saying, I want to query at a particular time, or query within a range, and then get all the data from that range. I know I'm hopping around here because of the chat, but sounds good. Okay, thank you, my war. Let's get off of Supabase, go back to SpacetimeDB. Nicer. My worry is that just sending user data and migrating that over, but it sounds like it's mostly a server and client bindings. Yeah, I don't think user data is going to change. So I think your data directory, like it will be possible to run a 1.0 on top of it. Well, I don't know if we'll allow that, but you should be able to run 2.0 on top of the existing data directory, no problem. So forwards compatibility, backwards compatibility, one of the two. I agree, that's fair. Well, I was just thinking these days, is it possible to link two tables from two different databases? For example, have one for my game launcher and have it, I'd like to have the same accounts table for my game. So the way we do that in Bigcraft, because we have to have that. For example, we have a global module that has all of the usernames. Zeros08, welcome in. Good to see you. Happy to have you pop in. So the way we do that in SpacetimeDB is, in Bigcraft, is that we replicate the table over. It's like a read-only table from your module's perspective. And it's the same thing as like sort of your database being a client of another database with a subscription. And so you can imagine like your game database subscribing to your launcher's accounts table. Now, if you want to change the accounts table, you'll have to send a message from your game database to the launcher. But that's actually the correct way to do it, because then you have single writer, right? Because if you don't, then you have a distributed systems problem and it actually gets very, very complicated. But you just basically want to send a message to that actor to modify it, and then you'll get the data forwarded onto you and you'll be able to access it. So that's more or less how intermodule subscription works, although we have not made that publicly available because we want to make sure we get the design right. That needs to be changed. That needs to be changed was referring to the clarification that bandwidth is only egress or not ingress. Yeah, we do need to make that clarification. Did I get it right? Multi-node setup would not allow a module to store more than physical RAM on a single node. That is technically correct. However, you could always enable swap. And then ultimately we want to allow you to have what you can label as a disk table, and that is allowed to be sent to disk. And so you could have then the amount that you can fit in one disk on one machine or in like network attached storage. But even more than that, you could imagine eventually at some point in the future having a distributed table, and then that would allow you to have that table be written across many nodes. The trade-off with both disk tables and distributed tables is that probably each time the latency goes up like potentially 1 or 2 orders of magnitude. And so that's why we didn't do it from the start, is because like, hey, we're making games and we need to know that accessing this table is going to take us nanoseconds, not milliseconds or microseconds. And when you start doing multi-node network anything, you're in milliseconds. Like you're high end of microseconds for sure. As soon as you hit the network card. I was actually doing this test. If you ping your loopback port on your machine, so if you hit the network, if you go through the network stack at all, it's like a minimum of 200 microseconds. So it's way too long. And so you want to be cautious about that. That's why we're doing this kind of like hey, we're assuming you want everything in memory, and then you will be able to say like, you know what, I only access this infrequently. So for example, if you had a table that was like logged out users, you probably want that to be on disk because you don't want to pay the cost of having that be in physical RAM. Or we could do that and then lower our overall prices, whatever it is. But you would like once in a while when that player logs in to move them from the logged out players into the logged in players, and so from sort of cheaper storage to more expensive storage. That's a long way around to answer that. You can use a single auth server, I guess, storing usernames or whatever you want inside the JSON web token. You can also do that, and you can use SpacetimeDB auth for that. And we also want to provide better documentation on using like Clerk or like auth0. SpacetimeDB auth is great. It's super easy to get started. There are companies whose whole purpose is to just do auth, and so if somebody needs like something specific, we want to be able to have good documentation to allow them to use Clerk with SpacetimeDB and manage their users through there. The full stack TypeScript is so good. I'm creating a Minecraft-like game for the browser, and it's both awesome for server and client. I'm super excited to hear that. I've personally been working very hard on it. We also have several members of the team that have been working very hard on it. One of the really cool things that we're sort of pioneering with the TypeScript version is being able to use your server code and server types directly on the client without doing code gen. We're not quite there yet, but that's the plan. And then that would be true of like Rust and C# eventually as well. So the idea is you write your server code, and then you can use those types. If you have functions and so on, you can use them directly in the client. So instead of having to do code gen and then you kind of lose the functions and methods that you have, you're actually using them in the client. So that's something we can do. I'm using Authentic. It was quite easy to set up. Oh, I have a nice cat. Mine's sitting here looking at you. Oh, very nice. I will show you. He is Sleepy Cat. Can we get a focus on that, please? Look at that. Amazing. He's a little clingy, but that's fine. I'm happy to have him. Why can I not focus, please? Here we go. No big deal. I know you guys are jealous. It is what it is. SpacetimeDB auth has been great. Hoping the development keeps going for that. Development will absolutely keep going for that. It's another one of those like, hey, it's got a long tail of things that we want to continue to add. Better branding, better user management, more platform support. Again, people have had their whole companies built around that. So happy to do that. But even if we made, like, for example, we got you 80% of the way there, and then had a way for you to like a button you click to migrate to Clerk, in case you need like some weird thing that they have, that would also be an option. You don't know how much stuff I wanted to add to SpacetimeDB auth. Well, exactly, and we're gonna get there. Ideally, we just gotta have SpacetimeDB, take off. We would like to have more and more people using it, and I think it's very exciting to see what you all have already built, to be honest. Yes, that was the first thing that crossed my mind. Would be awesome. Are you talking about the exporting to like Clerk or something? Earbag, what are the things that you wanted to add to SpacetimeDB auth but didn't get a chance to? I'm also going to play a quick game of OpenFront here while you guys are asking me questions. Love OpenFront. The OpenFront developer was in the SpacetimeDB Discord recently. Very excited about that. Let's do just a 10-user game, 10-player game. Should be easy. Do you have any active plans for Python support? I'm thinking of contributing at least a from-scratch SDK, but if you're going to do this, I'd be happy to just hop on contributing to it. We don't have any current plans. We actually used to support Python, and we pulled it out because we were supporting way too many platforms, and it was just not, it's too much for our small team. So we want to put more wood behind this small number of arrows, but like, I could point you to that old repo. And I could also, one of the people we hired because they worked on Rust Python. They contributed to that. I'm playing as Napoleon here. definitely not big enough. And they were helpful for the Python implementation. Advanced customization of the login page and deeper integration with our SDKs. I think that we'll get there. We'll get there. I think that's one of the higher priority things for SpacetimeOff. Is it realistic to use SpacetimeDB to store point clouds scanned in real time and do stuff on it in real time? I honestly don't know. You would probably be better at figuring that out, simply because you know what you want to do, and I haven't experimented with that. It doesn't seem like it would be impossible. No way. I'm working on an OpenFront clone with SpacetimeDB set in space naturally. That's exciting. I'd be really curious to know how that goes. I do enjoy OpenFront. I've won, you know, I don't know, you could look at my Discord, my record. I think there's I should go the other way. This guy's coming in on me. That was stupid. Let's cut him off. I was trying to get into, I want to get the, let's go here. That's so sad. I cannot. Let's get around here. He's trying to cut me off. Not a fan of that. Oh, come on now. Okay, BB Johns. Yeah, I don't think so. Actually, not feeling him. Whoops. We didn't mean to do that. Let's get down here. Okay, we're gonna go on BB Johns, I think. And I definitely have not built enough structures. Let's get one of those up there. Let's get that going. We're gonna say, oh hi, Mark. Yeah, we didn't really like the way that he was aggressively pushing us out. Let's see. I see the Unreal. Okay, hold on. I clearly missed a lot of questions because I was busy becoming the crown in OpenFront. I already looked into that. Not Pythonic enough for me. I can see waving is much better natively. I think that'd be great. Procedures that you guys added last update got me thinking about multi-threaded inside of the function. Would that be possible? It would be possible. I don't think we've really put a lot of effort into that yet, or thought into that. It turns out that just making your thing go single-threaded fast is quite important. So we'll see. Do we ally with? I think we ally with this guy. I could push him off, but I don't know. And then I've got to go in on this guy, so let's do that. Oh no. Oh no, he's got a warship there. That was a loss of troops. That was very sad. Oh, that's me. How did I get over there? Oh, I was already got in. Let's see. I see the Unreal Client SDK is in preview. Does it work with UEFN? Will it be for speech support in the future? I don't know. I don't know enough about that, to be honest. I don't believe it does. Like a scheduled procedure. We can do scheduled procedures. That's planned. We don't love this guy doing this, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do one of those. Ooh, let's go across. Let's get across the channel here. That'd be good. Get this guy's gold. We like that. We could use that gold. We love that. We really do. Is that mine? Yes. Let's see. Let's get another city, I guess. And then I think we've got to go in on somebody. I would love to get over to Antarctica, but I don't think I can. Let's do one of these. We'll do another one of these. Oh, we're allying with Mark. This person wants an ally. I think they have a lot of... That's very sad. Okay. I think we're gonna have to do something here. Let's see. So similar plans for the official Godot SDK. Seeing official support for the no name engines like Unity Unreal. I mean, we still would like to do Godot. It's definitely something that is always on our mind. People have been able to do quite a bit with Godot in general already. So that's kind of exciting. All right, we're going to go on this guy as soon as he touches my land. And we're going to slap down one of these. Oh no, that's bad news, Bears. I thought didn't he ally with me? Oh, that was a misplay. We really screwed that up. Let's ally with this gentleman, if we can. And we're just gonna kind of recover. Oh no, this is that other guy. Oh, I see. The colors are too similar for me. I think we're okay though. How many cities do we have? 6? I don't like that he has twice as many cities. We're gonna ally with this gentleman, if we can manage that. Is this game you're building built in space? It's not actually. Actually, this is a deterministic simulation game. I've spoken with the... Oh, did he ally with me? Shit. I didn't want that. I eat nuke. And trade with me. We need to get some more. It's not. It's a fantastic game, though. I highly recommend playing it. So basically, this is all in TypeScript, is my understanding, and also it's a deterministic sim. So there's just a relay server, and everybody has total knowledge of everything. It's kind of the opposite type of thing. Just basically, you can use the C# SDK for Godot. You can, and I think we really would like to do more there. This guy did not ally with me. I wonder. Like, I really should probably go in on this guy. So let's ally with that guy. Can we do that? Can we get that, please? We're gonna give him love. He's lovely. We love him. I need more trade. I should not build another city. Let's get some love. Because I really want to go in on trade with me. Let's give him love, please. Also, Android, Java, and Kotlin would be really nice in the short term. Yeah, yes, if we are accepting contributions for that kind of thing, so if that's something that you guys want to do. I think that'd be really good. I think the other thing would be TypeScript. I'm sorry, Swift. We would really love to see some Swift. Alright, we're going to ally with this guy, actually, instead. And we're going to give him love. And I should have built a... Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we're going to go on this guy. At some point. Maybe we get another one of these. Let's go in on him because he's building those. That sucks. Oh, he's nuking me. I guess that should make sense. Because I don't have a thing. Yep, I mean, I guess that makes sense too. I think we're done here. I think the game has ended. Let's say I have a giant game world, 40 by 40 kilometers. We're going to build a couple of these. Put one there. That's rough stuff. Let's say I have a giant game world that I only want clients to be able to access data nearby them. Does SpacetimeDB provide a spatial partitioning or relevancy? It's on the user. I mean, I don't know if it's on the user to implement. Who's attacking me? This gentleman needs to just chill. He's got way too much gold, though. It's not on the user to implement. Well, it is kind of. We have the view feature, and so if you want to only allow people to see that, make your tables private and then create a view where it only shows people that are near you. Like that would be one way to do that. Look at this, by the way. Fantastic. By the way, I've been wondering, you had some streams a long time ago replicating Minecraft server on SpacetimeDB. We are going to try to restart our content, our YouTube content a bit. We're not going to win this game, by the way. We're going to give these people... Oh shit, no. That was bad. Well, that was a real misplay. Yeah, well. Alright, we'll try again. We're gonna restart that. That's part of... I'm trying to do this with my stream. I have a stream deck now, so I can hopefully do that. Adios, Lethal Chip. Good to see you. Happy to do this stream. Set up subscription based on user location, split it in chunks, and set up a 3-to-3. That's what we did in Bitcraft. It works quite well. Have your total energy usage. Awesome. That's super exciting. A spatial map table would be nice. I literally place some indexes on the axis and subscribe for the close ones. Oops. What happened there? Alright, we gotta win this one. Right? We gotta win. We can't just be not win. Am I logged into Discord? Nope. We didn't go fast enough. That was stupid. We're gonna ally with him. Hopefully he's not bad. But yeah, this is not SpacetimeDB. This is a great game though. Has not necessarily made it more efficient to develop SpacetimeDB because, you know, playing a little open front. Should have waited there. Let's get this guy. Oh yeah. Nice. We have the crown. Love to see it. You love to see it. Let's go here. Oh, we still going. We still going with what? Kazakhstan, no. Alright, we're probably gonna go on Finland next, I think. They want that city. Fuck you, Germany. Russia's attacking me. Get one of those. Let's do factory. Nice. We're gonna get Germany next. Is there a somewhat rough plan when the next auth providers are going to drop on Space on Auth? Which ones specifically? Germany wants alliance. We don't want that. We want the city. We want Russia's city next. That's what we would like. Oh no, this guy's going to get it. We got it. Nice. Now we'll give him a little heads up there. Right, now we're going on Ukraine. Ukraine wants an alliance, and we don't care about that. I would like Spain to build some... Oh, they build stuff over here. Well, that's too bad. Is that a player? Which ones? Yeah, which ones are specifically you talking about? Because I can tell you then. Let's go to Chad. Let's be a Chad. Let's also get some more cities. I'm in the Trackmania tournament guy and chatted with Beerbag about adding space and all. Last time he told me it got approved. Yes, he's working on that. He told me about that. Let's do a little piracy. Who likes piracy? I like piracy. I like piracy quite a lot. I think we're gonna go into this guy, so like let's get the alliance with that guy. Maybe the European Union too. Come on, European Union. Now he wants the alliance, but he ain't gonna get it. He ain't gonna get it. I'm gonna go right there. Get that one. Nice, we get the kill on that one. Let's start building a little. Need the kill though, please. Here. So I didn't have any money. That's too bad. Let's build some more. Who's this? Soldier? Yeah, that guy. Alright, well let's go into Freaky Freddy. What do you think? Who likes that? Oh, am I allied with Freaky Freddy? I am. Not for long. Any improvements for agentic coding in SpacetimeDB? It takes a lot of context to get a good output. Absolutely. This is one of the biggest things we want to do. Spacetime Dev should just be outputting you a cursor rules file that's actually good. And it's not doing that right now. So we need to fix that as soon as possible. Yeah, so that's something we want to do. We actually have made a benchmark to see how good are we in general at basically if you fix the docs. Sorry, if you fix the models and you fix the SpacetimeDB, right? The question is, how good are your docs? So what we can do is say, okay, take our docs, run them against an LLM benchmark to see how much we've actually succeeded in creating, and then we can kind of work towards getting them to be more and more successful at doing that. So that's something that we are doing, and we can kind of look at all the best models for that. So that is something we are working on. So I guess it means nothing concrete just soon, which is fine. I thought it was more. I just thought since there were no more prepared, since the original 5 you prepared. I honestly do not myself know is the situation. Because I have not been working on that one myself. Let's get some more gold. Who likes gold? I like gold. You guys like gold? I like gold. I like it a lot. I think we're gonna need, like, we're gonna need some SAMs. We're gonna need some SAMs, guys. We're gonna need some SAMs. Otherwise, people are gonna go ham on me. And I'd rather not that happen. Slow Soldier's getting got. Oh, this guy's getting got. We're going down that for sure. For sure. And then this guy's gonna get got. Have you ever considered using mono instead of IL2CPP for SpacetimeDB? So we can read the client code. I think we tried that. The performance is not there. Oh no, I just got nuked into oblivion. And now he wants to... What a rat. What a rat. What a rat. We're nuking him at the absolute first opportunity that we can, which I think is going to be very shortly. We're just going to drop a fatty nuke on him. That's what we're going to do. So I need to not spend down. Was he the one that nuked me? Did anybody see? Hey, I use because I'm generating huge case. Hey, Tyler, thanks for shipping updates. We really appreciate that. We're gonna do our best to continue. This guy is getting nuked, and I don't care what happens. I need to renew. Excuse me. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Now what we're gonna do, I hope this guy likes losing. Oh my god. I hope you like losing, sir. Man, that's bad news, Bears. Oh, I just nuked that guy. Oops. This is not good. This was a bad play. We're definitely not allying with him. We will lose this game before we. Oh, we need to renew that. We need to accept all alliance. No, that was dumb. I accept the alliance with that guy. I didn't want to do that. All right, let's nuke somebody. Who's this? Jornum? Yeah, I hope you like losing. Oh, I'm definitely gonna betray that guy though. This is a bad play. What? That was close enough to. All right, fine, just whatever. This guy, this gentleman, okay, we're gonna give him clown because he's a clown. I know this is very, very, very important. Could we win it? We could. Could we win it? I don't know. I don't like this guy, and I don't like that guy. Oh no. We're gonna give him love. We're gonna give him whimpering eyes. We can do that. No. It's too late. Disaster. 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 This gentleman really got us good. Really got us good. Alright, well, GG's on that one. Anyway, so that's what's going on there. Why is the SpacetimeDB logo? Is that the case on, like, other browsers? Cool. Why is it super zoomed in? It is. Okay, we gotta fix that. Let me pop open Discord for a second here. I'll send it to GitHub. I guess that makes sense. I'm gonna try and log in. I'd like to create a ticket for that so that we don't forget. Your vault is locked. 1 second, everyone. Please. Please, Bluetooth juices. Low. There we go. True. But I also need new issue. SpacetimeDB logo broken in docs. I guess we could do that. We could fix that on stream today, but I don't know what's going on with it. Let's do... GitHub is not working. Not working for me. Alright, I'm missing probably... Let's see. Adios, Black Dianfa. Good seeing you. I joined in on thanking for SpacetimeDB. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. We're working very hard on it, obviously. Is it possible to get server authoritative projects? If so, how is it done in BigCraft Online? Physics. Is it possible to get server authoritative physics? I assume you guys would need Unity, Godot, embedded in your SpacetimeDB module. I just saw physics in for SpacetimeDB somewhere on GitHub. Did you decide if you guys release the remaining discounted TEV? We haven't decided. I will talk to my co-founder. We've just been busy, but maybe we'll do like a Christmas sale or something. I don't know. It's a question if we can set that up. I don't think it's terribly difficult, so it should be possible. In terms of server authoritative physics, we just don't have that much physics in the case of BigCraft, and I think in the cases that we do it, like for example, I think the AI agents do have some. They kind of do it on their own server, and then they just upload their positions, which SpacetimeDB assumes to be valid. And I think in the cases where we do it, we just do some very basic math and just check. Certainly that's something you can do. I think it'd be cool to have a SpacetimeDB physics library. I also think people have gotten physics working. Actually, if Beerbag is still around, he might be able to provide some links to how to do physics, because like Rapier, people have gotten like Rapier working. So that could be exciting. Okay, that's Julian. So that's Beerbag. Did you ever decide if you guys release remaining TV? I think we'd like to. I think that would be fun. I think there's also one of the fun things is we've added more stuff to the dashboard. We still have a lot more to go to the dashboard. There's going to be even more. So more metrics, better understanding of what the error, sort of the overtime energy usage would be very good. We also have a lot of dashboards that we use internally for BitCraft, which would be really cool to make available. BitCraft currently doesn't use this dashboard, and we would like them to use this dashboard so that we can make sure that they're testing it out. I think also better control over databases that are running and not. Like right now, this is just the status that is printed there, but is not actually something you can control or toggle or so on. And that'd be helpful for people scaling down. This is cool though. One thing I will point out, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but databases over here, it's interesting. Interesting that we have a list of databases here. Wouldn't it be cool if you could have children databases, and your database could have databases, and then you could have sort of child processes? Interesting. Interesting that we have this here. And then I don't know if you guys have seen this, I'll just point this out, but like, we now show logs per function. So like this add function will show the logs there. And then also, like for example, if I add my name as ASDF, you can see the logs in here, which is pretty cool. And then you can filter logs by like, in Tyler and so on. And I believe you can, could have sworn we had a like case-sensitive version. This is logs per function. It's not logs per function call, but we have a ticket for that as well. So you should be able to say like, okay, I only want to see the logs for this function call only. We'll put DW Lance in here in my database. Nice. You know what's also fun? I think I had a chat module somewhere. Somewhere in here. And you can kind of use the dashboard as like an actual chat app, because you could just have public tables and then you have to make your database public, like your module, your thingy public. But then you can do that. Instead, I can run game servers in Godot that could simulate the game world and update the space. I assume you do something similar in SpacetimeDB. That is correct. You could do that. And that's more or less what we do for the agents. It's just that we don't ever have that update players, but you could certainly do that. We call that like a sidecar service. Inter-database communication is what we call inter-module communication, but it's the same idea. I guess it probably should be called inter-database communication, realistically. Are there plans to make the table viewer public that you can use it for your own local development? It's a good question. We don't really have a plan for that right now. It's kind of tricky because a lot of this relies, for example, collaborators and things, relies on SpacetimeDB Cloud, which is the clusterized version, because that is the thing that has the control database, and that's where all this like collaborator info goes. That shouldn't be a drop down if you can't actually drop down on it. So it's tricky, basically. But there are similar open source projects. Actually, Beerbag created one of them. I think what we really like to do is make it so that main cloud is the main cloud, and our dashboards are like the nicest and easiest way, like to use SpacetimeDB, and that it's just kind of a no-brainer to do that, and it's not expensive. That's the goal. How are you doing? He's doing well. Let's take a look. He's a little sleepy. You're on camera. Okay. You're on camera. How do you feel about that? Huh? He feels fine about that. He doesn't seem bothered at all. Let's see. Yeah, I know from Julian there's a project for it. Yes. So I think there's so many cool things that we can do on the dashboard, and I forget who brought up the LLM thing. Like, I think the thing is about SpacetimeDB is that it's very well suited for LLMs to make the code, because there's no infrastructure. So it's all just code, and that's like perfect for what they do. And then not only that, you kind of, everything's broken up into a reducer. So you don't have to reason about the whole application all at once. You can kind of just reason about an individual reducer. And we have all the data structures declared in like either one file or multiple files with the table. So it's the context is very easy for you to provide. And that's, I think, something that we wanna do. If anybody has like a context file that they've created that works very well for SpacetimeDB, I would love to see that if you wouldn't mind sharing it. Spacetime profits, paying for lots of cat treats, of course. That's actually where it all goes. That's where all the energy goes. He eats it. Isn't that right? Yeah. Grab a bath. Who's that? Fun times. So yeah, if you guys know of that, I think like LLM support is something we want to do better. Like, yeah, I think it's one of the better things. I would love to do something like Firebase Studio, which I don't know if you guys have seen. Firebase Studio. It's like thing that it's an editor but built sort of specifically for Firebase backend, and this I think would work really, really well. Do we have the resources to do that? I don't know. Maybe we'll try and see how it goes. But I think that this could be super, super powerful. So Spacetime Studio could be fun. I use all the SpacetimeDB docs, the full text of the TS libs, all the TS libs. You use the actual code, is that correct? The SpacetimeDB examples repo in my own learnings. I would, if you could share that with me, if we have like a repo or something, I would love that. I would love to see that. But we are doing like we have an LLM benchmark. In fact, like SpacetimeDB. I think we have a thing here. Let's look. Issues. No, it's gonna be pull requests. LLM. I am a reviewer on this, and it's old, and I need to review it. It's from October. But we have this benchmark that Bradley's been working on, and we have even a page internally. You guys can't see this, but I can, so that we can post it up on the website. And then what this will do is actually make it a CI job that when you run CI, it will actually check to make sure that you have run the docs against the LLM output to make sure that it's not regressing LLM performance. Are you familiar with the DB diagram tool online? Would it be possible to create something like this for main cloud from the DB schema? Challenge would be manually connecting foreign keys. I imagine. Very cool though. DB diagram. That would be super cool. I don't think I have seen this, but yet it would definitely be possible. We don't have foreign keys, but we could have foreign keys. Maybe we could just integrate with them. Like, that would be the best. It's interesting. It doesn't take like typing DSL code. I'm surprised it doesn't take like actual SQL, because that would be cool. Because then you could take your actual like schema file and just do that. We have like a schema file which is formatted as JSON, or rather we have a schema representation. It's called the module def, and that defines all of the types in your module and stuff. So we could certainly do that. In fact, anybody could do that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if you want to contribute, by adding a PR. What are the current difficulties with supporting the PG wire schema /D? It lacks blocks, so many use cases such as redash and ClickHouse connectors. So I don't know. I haven't worked on that. That would be Josh and Mario. I think, from what I understand, one of the biggest things that we have not yet done is mock out all of the Postgres internal databases. So like we have so the way that Postgres works is it's like bootstrapped. So all of the information about all of your schema is in itself inside tables inside Postgres. And we have not mocked out all of the system tables inside Postgres. I forget what they call them. They're usually like PG whatever. In SpacetimeDB, we have similar things, but they're not exactly the same. So we would have to mock out some of that stuff. I imagine that's what's preventing that. But I don't actually know. Good gracious me. Is there any work getting done on it? I think right now we want to make sure that we get views fully up to speed, and we want to get procedures fully up to speed, and then we probably want to do our breaking changes. So I would say there's not really somebody working on it. If you wanted to take it on, I mean, I think we could meet. If that was something that you were actually like really interested in, might make sense for us to meet and then come up with like a design and do it. Yeah, we don't have a huge amount of bandwidth to focus on that. But we would love to see it. Like, I think that's one of the things that's got a very clear goal. It's a very clear spec. So we could certainly carry that out. If you guys don't already follow us on Twitch, drop us a follow. You can also follow us on YouTube. We're going to be doing more content for YouTube, I think, and more content for Twitch in general. You guys want to see one more game of OpenFront? Maybe I'm going to let you go. Otherwise, if there's other questions about energy, would be happy to answer them. Again, we're going to be reviewing our prices, making sure that we have got that on lock. If you're curious to know like what Bitcraft does, it's something like 5 billion reducer calls and like 40,000 bandwidth, and then actually table storage is quite small. This is approximately what Bitcraft costs, and this is like probably an overestimate. Dovo says, holy, but perhaps doesn't realize that every engineer we have on Bitcraft costs more than this per month. So it's actually not very much money, and we would absolutely pay for this. If somebody else had made it for us, we would really have appreciated that. What would a comparable scale game using traditional backend cost? Are you including all the engineers that are required to build it? Because then I would say hundreds of thousands, possibly millions per month. If you're not, I would still say you do this on AWS, it'd probably be a similar cost. But if you also include the engineers, it's not even close. What is the bulk of the calls used for in the actual game? We do everything. We have an individual call for movement. So like we don't have a batch call. So like anytime anybody moves, I think that's the vast majority of them. Let me see if I can actually pull up some stats on my own thing here. I can tell you exactly what's going on here. Let's see. Maybe I can just do this. Access, so good. Reducer metrics. Not what I want. Interestingly, the amount of like table storage is super low for Bitcraft. We just don't have that much data. Well, if you include all the infra team salaries, is it still so much cheaper than a traditional stack? Do you mean for us? Like, do you mean if we include SpacetimeDB as a cost to develop, would it be so much cheaper? I think it would be still cheaper in terms of the complexity of a backend. I talked to an engineer we were thinking of hiring who worked at what is the Amazon game? New World. And he was saying like there are 50 microservices and they each have their own team, and there's a microservice for like the auction house and for inventories and for combat and for all the different things. And I 1000% guarantee like that game was a successful game that they shut down probably because it was way too expensive to develop. Like people like that game. It just got updated. It made a lot of positive progress. But they shut it down because I bet it never made $1. I bet it was so expensive to run that they never actually did it. So the whole point of SpacetimeDB is to bring the cost of developing MMOs way down from where they are to like a manageable amount for a small team. So something like this for an MMO, obviously it would go up if we had a lot more users in Bitcraft, but like I'm not sure we've even gotten these numbers right, and we've done zero optimization because why would we? Well, that's not true. We've done a lot of optimization on SpacetimeDB. We've done a little bit less on Bitcraft. We could probably do more. Well, if you include with MVC, which are out of any player range, if they move or have scheduled, do you shut them down when no players around? We do not. I mean, we don't charge ourselves energy, so we just let it all run. We just have a fixed set. It's like we are on the team plan and we have dedicated nodes, so it kind of doesn't really matter. For bandwidth, it kind of does matter because we do pay that. We haven't really optimized that. It's not a huge component of our cost, like $3,000 a month, which we pay actually more like the wholesale price. It's just not that expensive compared to all of the team. Deadmau5 says, I'm yet to see microservices implemented in a way that's not distributed monolith. Very true. In fact, they were telling me that like everything was two-phase commit between microservices. So like if you want to move something from your inventory into the auction house, they had to do two-phase commit between those microservices, which is a lot of overhead. In SpacetimeDB, you just do that in the module, and it's fine. The auction house is the same as the other thing. We have been able to scale up Bitcraft. We could scale it up even further. We just don't have the need right now. Pricing-wise, I'm a bit worried that table storage is going to stack up for me. Will migration to disk tables be easy eventually? So the migration to disk tables should be as simple as, like, the plan for disk tables is, let me get rid of this. So here we have a table, and then we would probably say, like, disk true. And then nothing else would change. So the answer is yes. It would be easy. Why is that not a compiler error? Is that because TypeScript is weird? Possibly. Let's see. If you were hosting it, what type of machine would be needed for Bitcraft? I think we run on like consumer hardware, so we have a 14900K for the single-threaded performance. So you could run it on your own desktop. We run it on a Raspberry Pi. And it doesn't do as good, but it does pretty well. So you should be able to do that, no problem. If still cheaper than SpatialOS, SpatialOS was very expensive, but it makes sense, right? They raised $500–600 million, and they had a huge staff. So they needed to make money. We have a much smaller team. From a small start point of view, is Bitcraft already past the BEP? What is the BEP? Break-even point. Well, I mean, we don't generally release financial info to the general public, so I'd rather not do that in general. Sonny Sensei, oh hi. Hello. Welcome in for the first time. If you haven't, drop us a follow. We are developing SpacetimeDB, which is a database that is also your server. And today we're talking about some of the all-new pricing that we've got going on. So, in particular, we have a new Pro tier, and we've got a free tier. Previously, we didn't have any free tier, so you just had to pay from the beginning. Although, technically speaking, it was all free because we didn't charge any money. But we now have a free tier, which is going to be free forever. And then also we have a space race referral program. So if you want to refer people, slap that in to all your friends. Just the first time I saw this channel live. Awesome. Well, welcome in. Well, Eager Manga, I will put it this way. We don't pay our own retail prices for our hardware, right? So that would be silly. Well, I mean, we could, for accounting purposes, have Bitcraft pay SpacetimeDB. But Bitcraft makes way more money, and it would need to, than just the cost of the infrastructure. So, like, just to be clear, on a monthly basis, you know, what was that, like $6,000? Bitcraft makes quite a bit more than that, and like I said, just one employee, generally speaking, plus more than $6,000 per month. So SpacetimeDB is like adding one more person to your team. In the case of a large scale or medium scale MMORPG. And in my opinion, I would much rather have not had to spend 5 years of my life developing SpacetimeDB. I would like to have just added... I would like to just have used SpacetimeDB, but I had to do it myself, sadly. Galaxy Crater says, Tyler, something interesting I've been thinking about is whether users will be able to help pay for energy. Instead of paying me, then I buy energy. They pay you directly. This is something that I've thought about from the beginning, and that's partially why we have the energy system. So you can certainly imagine the users funding a project. Either they can donate stuff, or every time they call, it's deducted from their balance instead of from your balance. This again is something that like Ethereum does, and I know that people don't like crypto, and that's true, that's fine, but they do have some interesting ideas. So like Ethereum gas, how does it work? Right, like they have some interesting ideas. Or again, who pays gas fees Ethereum? So by the user initiating a transaction, so you could have your users doing that, but then they need to have energy, something to bear in mind. Look at how blown out my lighting is because the screen is white. So you could do that. You could have it be split between the owner of the module and the user. You could have it be like, oh, it comes out of a pool that is donated by players, so that the players can sort of just donate and it goes directly into playing. You could have it be like not owned even by any one player. It could be sort of just like a thing that you publish and then we detach the owner from it and there is no owner and it just runs. That could be fun. We could also, I think one cool thing is like, let's say we do payment integration eventually. We could have it be, hey, we'll run your thing for free, but you give us a percentage of the, like a fee of all the revenue. So then you basically just don't pay for any energy. And it comes out of your revenue. That's one way to think about it. Could be fun. Can you even do this crypto blockchain stuff if you release on Steam? Okay, I'm going to just take a moment here to say SpacetimeDB has nothing to do with crypto or blockchain. It is not a crypto or blockchain. Not all ideas from Ethereum are cryptocurrency, right? So like, that is the thing that's prevented on Steam. You do not have to use cryptocurrency to be able to take ideas from it. So something that we had on our website and it immediately gets misunderstood by sort of everyone that like, oh, this means they're doing blockchain. Not doing blockchain. I think smart contracts have some interesting ideas, like the gas fees, which I think are relevant for bringing into SpacetimeDB. They have nothing to do with blockchain. They have nothing to do with cryptocurrency. They have nothing to do with selling people tokens. They have nothing to do with any of that stuff. But the technology behind it is not necessarily, it's not evil technology. It's not, full of demons. Steam, Gabe Newell's not going to come after me if we allow users to pay for the running of transactions and so on. Just clarification on that. I think for some reason, I can't say it without it being immediately understood that like, oh, this is blockchain stuff. Let's see. I can imagine a distributed blockchain like SpacetimeDB setup since it's deterministic anyway. You certainly could imagine that. That's something that would be possible. You can even imagine it interoperating with SpacetimeDB properly. We are not working on that. As a team of one who works on the weekends, I don't have much in the way of a budget. That sounds great. If you don't have a budget, I mean, one thing to do is, obviously we have a pro tier that's like $25 a month. I think that, that should be affordable for most developers. And it should cover most expenses. Like, I think we're going to dial it in so that, yeah, you can run a medium-sized project on just the pro tier. But also, if you want to, you can recruit other people to use SpacetimeDB, and then you get a permanent increase to the free amount of energy earned. Sorry, you can get a permanent amount of free credit per month. So I zoned out there for a second. So like if I were to recruit a bunch of people, then I would every month have a credit of 1 million TEV applied. And that's actually, you can run quite a large project on that. Like what would that be in terms of like BitCraft? Let's go back over the pricing calculator. So what is 1 million TEV? So 1 million TEV is like 1 billion reducer calls per month. Approximately. It depends on what you're actually doing in them, but approximately. So like, yeah, you can get very far with that. And that means you pay nothing, and we host you for free, forever. What about sending each other TEV? Maybe I want to support another dev. They could have TEV wallet. Yeah, so now you're getting a little closer to some of the crypto stuff, which we could do if we wanted to. What if, guys, what if we made a coin for BitCraft called Bitcoin? That would be fun. We could do that. So that would be making energy transferable. It would create a market. I think there's some like legal things, like financial things we'd have to think about there. It might be interesting. I mean, I think it would be nice for people to donate to like a project. What I could say also is that like you could make SpacetimeDB a centralized currency thing like it is with Ethereum. It just wouldn't be decentralized, so it wouldn't be something where it's not run by anyone. It'd be run by us. But you could still do that. You invented blockchain for it, I'd say. Blockchains or cryptocurrency. The problem with recruiting, I've already told everyone I know about it, and they have played around with it. Not a single one of them has the time to drive. Yeah, that's fair. Well, the thing is, it's an interesting question, Barking Owl, about centralized. Like, centralized is fine. It's fine almost all of the time. Also, we have no incentive to upset our users. If we do, they're going to leave the platform. So, like, why would we do that? So, centralized, that was the whole kind of, like, point of SpacetimeDB is like, hey, some of the ideas from smart contracts are interesting, but, like, what if it was centralized and we just ran it as fast as possible? So you could do, instead of, like, 1 transaction per second, you could do, like, 1 million transactions per second. Like, what would that allow you to unlock? Turns out a lot, actually. I myself do consulting, not on it specifically, but I suggest using it in a lot of cases. Well, definitely send out your referral link. Or if you want to post it on social media too, that's something that you never know who will pick it up. I think that's fun. Would be cool to have a, I don't know, I am torn on like a decentralized SpacetimeDB. I think it would be fun, but I think a lot of people really don't like that. So it is what it is. I think centralized SpacetimeDB is also perfectly interesting as well. I think a centralized SpacetimeDB where you could sort of, if we did payments, that you could accept energy payments and stuff like that. I think that, and you can transfer them and stuff. I think that would also be fun. In Steamworks policy, this is disallowed. Applications built on blockchain technology that issue or allow exchange of cryptocurrencies or NFTs. Yeah, so I think that would be not allowed on Steam if you were doing trading NFTs and things. But it's actually a weird situation because would something on SpacetimeDB, which is centralized, be a cryptocurrency? No, it's not a cryptocurrency. Is it an NFT? You could argue it's a weird area because these things are so separate that SpacetimeDB kind of makes them similar. If it would be possible to somehow work around the license issues, it's certainly possible to build an open SpacetimeDB based running blockchain. I can't say that it hasn't crossed my mind. Is it just a game currency? Is what just a game currency? Steam doesn't like it when devs get paid without their cut. That's why they banned game ads too. That's fair. Steam does not like it. That yacht company's not going to pay for itself. Gabe's got to get his yachts. And let me tell you, I have contributed very significantly to Gabe's yacht. Well, perhaps not as much as the Hollow Knight people, but we have definitely added our fair share to Gabe's yacht fund. No doubt about that. Happy to do so, Gabe, if you're listening. Happy to do so because we like you providing us with users. In my humble opinion, the CS2 gambling sphere contributed way more than game sales. To Gabe's yacht fund could potentially be. I don't actually have the numbers on that. I mean, I bet that Hollow Knight people probably made like $300 million or something like that. Like $100 million for Gabe. I don't actually know. They probably sold 30 million copies. Like, let's see. How many copies did Silk Song sell? Say that 5 times fast. Okay, so less than I thought. Well, 4.2 million copies. Well, that's not possible. If it's 3 million copies, 5 million players. Let's see. What's interesting is I bet that Silksong also boosted the amount of Hollow Knight sales. Because are you going to play Silksong without playing Hollow Knight? Good question. I know I just told myself that I had a good question, but it is a good question. I'm currently developing a 3D Battle Royale game. How can SpacetimeDB be better than Unreal Engine replication system? Unreal Engine replication system does not do any persistence. So, that's at least one way. For example, I think in the case of that, like if you do on a 3D battle system, one thing you can do is actually what some of our clients have already done, which is they build the game itself on Unreal backend, and then they build like all of the around game stuff, so like the matchmaking and the rewards and the skins and all of that stuff they build in SpacetimeDB because it's got all the persistence there. Silksong was released on a bunch of platforms, so you can have 4 million Steam sales and more players. Gotcha. So let's call it, they made basically 10 to 20 million sales. How much was it? It was $15, I think. Silksong price. $20. So 20 times 0.7 times 10, 3, 6. So that's $140 million. So they contributed, let's see. I would say they will contribute at least $60 million to the Gabe and Yacht Fund. That's my suspicion. In the end, not too shabby. Why would you build non-real-time related stuff on SpacetimeDB? Matchmaking stuff is easier to do traditionally than the high game load stuff. It is, but people find that it's easier to do the real-time stuff. So if you want to have like UI that updates when your friends are playing and you want to show like a score, you can do that. You can also do some of the more complex like permission logic in SpacetimeDB. SpacetimeDB is not just real-time stuff. It is like real-time is helpful for like UI and things like that, but it doesn't need to be all like game world stuff. I think I would say most of our clients that our enterprise clients don't use it for in-game world stuff. We have clients that use it for financial transactions, so they want to do like order book matching and stuff like that, where they have an auction house and they want to sell things. That is something that people find to be very valuable. Right, but then there's another issue of integrating SpacetimeDB with replication infrastructure. I don't follow that. I don't know what you mean by that. SpacetimeDB in main cloud, if you have Pro, enables replication. If you already did your game logic in some other platform, won't it be easier just to do everything else there? I mean, I don't think so. Because, for example, in Unreal Engine, that's not how people generally do it, right? So you usually do the match in one thing, and then you have like a whole set of around game services and servers and databases and things to make sure that that all stays up to date. It's been my experience. I have not seen anybody that stores user data in the Unreal Sync engine. SpacetimeDB would be really useful for just warehouse management stuff. Those disk tables would be quite important for that. True. I think there are definitely people that have approached us about managing inventory. One of the things about the performance of SpacetimeDB is that, and we have some numbers on this actually. So if you do things that are contending for resources, so like let's say you're Ticketmaster, and actually Tiger Beetle has sort of a similar goal here. If you guys are familiar with Tiger Beetle, it is a financial only database. They only do debits and credits. But like let's say you're Ticketmaster and you have a Taylor Swift concert that you are selling tickets to. Well, you have a total number of tickets you can sell, and you need to update that number in real time at like midnight as they all slam the database. If you try doing that in Postgres, where you open a transaction and you check if there's any left, and then you add it and you write it back to the same row, you'll be able to get like between 100 and 1,000 transactions per second, which when you're trying to sell out of tickets on Ticketmaster means like your website's going down and things are crashing because things are timing out and all that stuff. For SpacetimeDB, because we just go right across the boundary, we can keep your transaction open for like much less time. And we, in SpacetimeDB on Rust, can already hit over 100,000 transactions per second. So that's like, what is that, 110 times faster than Postgres in the best case? So there are certain things that are just way better to do in SpacetimeDB in general. So in Postgres, yes, you can do, they don't solve it generally because Postgres has still made different trade-offs than SpacetimeDB did for multi-version concurrency control and so on. But that helps a lot. Yeah, you're right. You can do store procedures in Postgres. Good luck managing that data, that code that's like uploaded into Postgres and not versioned and kind of is a second-class aspect of Postgres. Please enjoy that developer experience. And also, it's not the default thing that most, if you look at like most web developers, probably not the ones that are working on the Ticketmaster backend, but maybe. Let me know if 99% of developers use stored procedures in Postgres for this. You can use triggers and things, and that's what we actually ended up doing for some of the energy stuff, which we should have just done in SpacetimeDB, to be quite honest. We thought about it, we're like, oh, well, no, it would have been a lot better. I've played with the idea of making an EMR with it, at least an EMR concept. The EMR my company uses blows chunks. I would love to see that. EMR is something management resource. What does EMR stand for? Let's Google that. Electronic medical record. Yes, I think we would need to work towards like what Supabase has here, though, which is also thank you Rumble Crush for the subscription. We would need like SOC 2 and HIPAA, which we don't have, but could certainly get. And we would probably offer that to Team Tier, like Supabase does. Barking Owl, thank you so much for the follow. But yeah, I would let me know if 99% of them have heard of SpacetimeDB. I mean, it's all about knowing the right tool for the task. I totally agree on maintainability aspect still. Yeah, they haven't. That's true, but I think one can change and the other one is not likely to change. By all means, I could be wrong. I mean, I've got a lot riding on it, so hopefully I'm not wrong, but you're not incorrect. Most of them have not heard of SpacetimeDB. That doesn't mean that can't change. With the new pricing, the info box main cloud is now live. It should be removed. I have a PR to do that. We haven't deployed it. And it became the weekend before we did that. So, yeah, it's a problem. Now it says basically do this. But we might bring it back. It should be there. It's a huge problem that it's not. You're 1000% correct. I apologize. I should be doing that instead of what I am doing, which is being on stream. Should be fixing that, but check it out. It isn't that worth it. Don't worry about the bugs. Just focus on the kitty. Just focus on the kitty. He's fine. He's a little crazy. He's going to be crazy tonight because he's sleeping very well. I have fur all over my desk. He's a little itchy. Pay no mind to the as yet unreleased updated announcement banner. We should have a way where I could just update that with like a CDM, but as of right now I have to change the code and then push it, which I probably should do right after this. Just bring the discount back until you remove the banner. Easy fix. Fair play. Fair play. I suppose we should do that. I mean, it was up for a year, like almost a year, like 9 months. You guys had a lot of opportunity. Can't bring it back though. What's on your guys' top wish list for SpacetimeDB? What would you like to see? Not that I'm making any promises about it, but I would love to know. Also, to give us a star. Ah, weird. Thank you for the call out, your manga. Mr. Joe Boss. By the way, I appreciate the community interaction response to this. Absolutely. We would like to do more of it. We'd like to be better about it. Some of the people on the team are really great about it too, and I would like to be as well. That's how we can get people to love the platform. I mean, we want a product that really love. They wouldn't do it any other way. Okay, we've got one Godot SDK for clients. Fair enough. What else we got on the top of the list? More dev videos. Okay. I really enjoyed the Minecraft series, but just examples focusing on, say, how did Bitcraft handle collision? Alright, we can do that. I think what I would like to do is do a series where I make a TypeScript module and a TypeScript client, and maybe we make a game of some kind. I want to make a game that's kind of like Motherload, if you guys are familiar with Motherload. if you've ever played this. Event tables? Well, I have good news for you, Dead Mouse. Those are on the way. I would like more detailed info on about how BSAT formats the different features in the subscription messages. You just want a BSAT and spec? Do we have a spec up for BSAT? Here, which does kind of break down the format. So the idea is, but I want to do one which is dwarf themed. How soon will RLS go away? Probably not soon. We have no reason to get rid of it. It's still going to remain unstable, and I think we'll probably will eventually get rid of it. It's almost trivial to build anything in RLS with views. So this is no. Well, actually, we need. Well, fill my tank, please. This is motor load. You just dig, but I want to do one that's dwarf themed, and an MMO and a roguelite. Or roguelike, maybe, where if you die, you have to start from the surface again. But that you can build out infrastructure as you go. That would be fun. It confuses my... I have to remind it views exist. That's fair. I think the problem is, like, we have them in... Ooh, gold. Oh, what the hell? Was that a gas pocket? Oh no, I ran out of fuel. We have them in our llms.txt file, so we have to update that. And we have to. This is part of the reason why I want to have the benchmark, so that we know, like, oh, if the docs are out of date, we can get a fix on that real quick. The spec is there, but right now I have, for example, easy info about how a procedure return message looks like around the row data itself. I see. They should probably remove it from llms.txt. You're 1000% correct. SpacetimeDB.com. Do we have it? RLS. Yeah, so like this is the problem. This is why I need it to be in our CI check-in, so that, like, yeah, this is clearly going to cause our LLM to do poorly on this. I should work on this too today, in principle. But I am working on the keynote for SpacetimeDB 2.0. Are sub-transactions still planned? They are planned. They are always planned. They're not planned soon. That you can call reducers and reducers. Yeah, so you can already call reducers from within a reducer. You just have to call it direct, like as a function, rather than calling ctx.db blah blah blah. So like what I mean by that is, to pull this up, like if I'm in a reducer here, I can call another reducer by here. I can call this reducer in here by doing repeating and then passing in ctx. What does this function take? It takes the context and yeah, I don't know how to read TypeScript. Expected 2 arguments. Oh, it needs the args too, so I would have to do something like this. I don't know what the actual thing is, but like blah blah. And then this would actually call the reducer. It would not create a new transaction though. It's the same transaction. And this is how we want to be able to allow people to call reducers without creating a new transaction. But then the ultimate thing you could do a sub-transaction by doing like ctx.reducers or ctx.call or something. Like .call, .repeating was my previous one. And then you don't have to pass the context in, you just pass in the args. which in this case is just org. So like that's where that would go eventually. Yeah. The running SpacetimeDB processes should have an MCP interface. We should. I don't know much about it, but we really should do that. I would love a dev video on advanced uses of views with respect to deprecating RLS. For instance, I need to make sure that players can only query for stations that have a ship their own flying in the same sector. Can only query for stations that have a ship their own flying in the same sector, or a ship docked in a station in the same sector, or a ship docked or has a squadron. I've seen the solution having 3 different views. You certainly could do that. That's how you can OR them together. You could do it in the same view, but like probably makes sense to do 3 different views. Somehow that might work around. Like we should also probably allow you to union them on the client so that you could take 3 tables and union them together and get 1 table. Somehow that workaround never crossed my mind. It makes sense. Eager mega, and they are just regular functions, so you can just call them. Like I mean, there's nothing preventing you from doing that. Will we get reducer return values? An HTTP API on top of SpacetimeDB would be cool. So we're thinking we're going to do them. The thing about that is you break a property which is called nil externality. So nil externality. And basically, they don't immediately reveal the system's internal state. So we can do things like... so one of the things that's very cool about SpacetimeDB... Where are you guys? You're over here. One of the things that's very cool about SpacetimeDB is we can do things like... Because everything's subscription-based, in real time, you can do things like... Postgres has this concept of synchronous commit on. And here it is. This ensures that it doesn't, like, you wait before continuing, you wait for everything to be written to disk, right? So execute DML, it writes data, writes to the write-ahead log. If it's successful, it returns. Otherwise, it does not. And it can do like an asynchronous write, blah, blah, blah. But it impacts your actual throughput because you're waiting for things. SpacetimeDB actually does all of the stuff, assuming it got written to disk, but then only ever shows it to you if it does actually get written to disk. And what that does is it allows us to do synchronous commit with only increasing your latency, but not decreasing your throughput. Whereas with some of the stuff about how it works internally into Postgres, it actually does decrease your throughput, in addition to increasing your latency. So that's what the property of nil externality gets you, is like you can do things, and when you do reduce a return value, we basically need to have that thing finish before you can hear about it. Whereas if I just say like, yep, we got your message, we will process it, and then I can tell you later about it, that changes the game. So that's the one thing that we want to think about. Yeah. It's common in systems like RocksDB and LevelDB. It contrasts with the traditional externalizing operations like reads that immediately expose system state, enabling high performance, strongly consistent storage by separating durability from the immediate execution. It's a very important idea. And it's, do some storage interfaces enable higher performance than others? Can one identify and exploit such interfaces to realize high performance in storage systems? This article answers these questions by affirming, in the affirmative, by identifying nil externality, a property of storage interfaces. A nil ext interface may modify state within a storage system, but does not externalize its effects or the system state immediately to the outside world. As a result, a storage system can apply nil-ext operations lazily, improving performance. Procedures have a return value. Reducers likely won't get it. That's not correct. We added it to procedures because we figured we probably will add it to reducers in 2.0, but we haven't fully decided on that. I don't actually know 1000% that we will be violating nil externality, but I need to think about it. Do you think a nil external process sees other processes that delivers through SpacetimeDB reducers for complex tasks such as chunk generation is a good practice? I don't know what you mean exactly. I would love to hear that again. All right, what I mean by return values is probably better described as SQL returning. A client created a row and immediately got the ID assigned to it. Inside the reducer, we do get it, but revealing it to the client is impossible right now. So one thing that's also true about this is that like auto-gen columns are kind of a bad idea in general. I mean, we have them. They have them in databases, but they're kind of bad because if you use them, you can't do, for example, client-side prediction, because I can't predict exactly what, it's like we're all locking on the same value. I can't predict what the server is going to return for the value. But if I create a random value based on the current timestamp, then I can create entities on the client and predict what the server will be creating if it happens at the same timestamp. So there's also details with that. That's valuable to think about. But anyway, yeah, we think we're going to do return values. We think it's correct. I don't know 1000%, so don't like bet the house on it. But that is the plan. In my opinion, introducing return values is kind of superfluous, since you can just use a procedure if you want to request response functionality. Am I wrong about this? You're not wrong about this, but shouldn't we just allow you to return values? Like, what I want to think about it. I think it needs to be thought about. And we haven't really deeply thought about it, but there might not be no problem with returning reducer return values. It kind of breaks the actor model. Like, if you go to the actor model, what does an actor do? It sends a finite number of messages to other actors. It creates a finite number of new actors. It designates behavior to be used for the next message it receives. So it changes its own state, sends messages, and it receives messages. What it does not do is wait for messages to be received by other actors. However, the Swift actor model, Swift, does have return values. Can actor function actors return data in Swift? Actors in Swift can return data from their methods and properties because actors are reference types assigned to blah, blah, blah. But the problem is they are reentrant. So if I check a value and then I do a thing on another database, on another actor, sorry, that transaction can change something about my state before I continue my function. So if I check, do you have enough money to do this, and then I call a function, I need to check again, do you have enough money to do this, or whatever, if I'm doing like a banking thing. So that's tricky. In fact, Ethereum is reentrant and has this problem because they had a reentrancy, like here, I'll just show you. Ethereum reentrancy bug. So basically, they did a thing where they checked that you had a balance, but then they called a function, and that function deducted from your balance, but it didn't check again the balance. So they were able to run it recursively many times and like suck all the money out. So the point is that these are very tricky questions, and that we cannot just be like, yeah, we'll do whatever. We need to think about them very deeply, actually. So call that what that is. On the other hand, we're waiting for UUID support. We do not. Yes, you are, and we have that in the works, and that is almost done, I think. CQRS. I'm not familiar with CQRS. Command query responsibility segregation is a design pattern that separates applications write command and its read operations into distinct models, allowing them to be optimized independently for better performance scalability. Yeah, you're right. That's true. Very true. should read this entire article. Asking a question should not change the answer. Methods should return a value only if they are referentially transparent and hence no side effects. So basically, views only. Yeah, so returning a value from reducers does break CQRS. We could declare the concept of a read-only reducer, which would not do it, and then mutating reducers, but that's weird. I don't know. This is a tricky one. This is a really tricky one, and I think it's not something we should do lightly. We should really deeply think about it. This is a good call out, Dobos. The thing in my mind is SpacetimeDB markets itself as a subscription-based and maybe encourages the wrong pattern where developers don't use subscriptions and rely more on the traditional model, which is kind of sad. That is true. That's why we haven't done it yet. It's exactly why we haven't done it yet. The other wish list item that I expect unlikely is an optional UDP or quick. This is something that was asked earlier. It's not a high priority for us, but like it's not hard. If you guys were interested in making a PR, I think we'd look at it. The only real case for a reducer return values I see is the client to determine the exact row they inserted by calling it. So read-only reducers won't really do the thing. Yeah, but again, I think that breaks exactly the types of things that you would avoid with this and nil externality. Is the problem. CQS can introduce complexities for implementing reentrant and multi-threaded software correctly. This usually occurs when non-thread safe pattern is used to implement the command query separation. Here's a simple example. It does not follow CQS, but is useful for multi-thread software because it doesn't follow CQS, but mutates it and returns it. Lock +1 return. You know what? I'm going to create a ticket. To think about this. These, what about CQRS? Does this encourage people I don't think we had a roadmap item to track that one, so I think that's helpful. Where'd you go? Another major wish list item for me is better enum support. Right now I can't do quality checks on them, which is really annoying. That's fair. Thank you, Igor Manga. We're gonna look at that. For sure. I don't know. You can also, like, so if you have return values, the reason it breaks the actor model for return values is that, let's say I call a function on another actor, and it calls a function on me. There's only two ways to fix that. Either it's reentrant or it deadlocks. Right? Because if I open a transaction, and then I do a call to another thing, I'm waiting, I'm holding my own transaction open. So either I allow changes to happen to my own database, or I do that. So we'll never probably do it from database to database, but then does it make sense to do it from client to client to database? I don't know, because clients are basically just databases. I think it's tricky. I think it's tricky stuff. I don't know. Thank you, Igor Manga, for all the exploration into all of that stuff. We really appreciate it. I think we're going to take a look. We're just trying to make sure we get our deadlines achieved. In SpacetimeDB, client is in some sense a database to the local table cache. It is, and not in a small sense, in a big sense. It is, and that is also how we would implement inter-database subscription, right? So I want it to be that my database inside of SpacetimeDB can be a client of another database inside SpacetimeDB, and we don't have that yet, but that should be possible. So we need to make sure all of our decisions comport with that possibility. And if I as a client am able to wait on a result of a reducer, it's a little tricky. So maybe it's not the right call. I don't know. I think we need to think about it carefully. Let me write that thought down. Then again, I mean, you can do like, maybe you can't wait on a result within a reducer, but you can wait on a result within a procedure. So I could call a reducer on another database and get a result from it. But I have to be in a procedure context so that I can await it, like as though I were doing an HTTP query, which is what I am doing. Better type safety for foreign keys. I know Igor has a PR for that, but it would be cool. That would be really, really cool too, yeah. Another external database via SQL. That could work. You can't really subscribe, obviously. But in principle, you could do that in a procedure today, right? You just make an HTTP request. Although I guess you'd have to make like a Postgres wire protocol request. We don't do that right now, but you can put an HTTP server around your Postgres database and then do that. return values are something where it's like, it seems like a no-brainer, but it's such a brainer. And it's one where like people go like, why haven't you done this? And it's like, I actually don't know. I don't know that it's a bad idea, but I don't know that it's a good idea. And I think we need to sit down and like really noodle on it. It's the definition of a brainer. It's not a no-brainer. It requires a lot of brain. You wouldn't expect that, because it seems like, oh yeah, it's a function returns value. Obviously. You mean it's the non-breaking change? It is up to the users how to use it, but like, could it be that like we send all users down like a bad path that they all have to basically shoot themselves in the face before they realize like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. Like, why would we have a feature like that? It's like a sort of a noob trap. It's like setting up a trap for our users. It's not a great idea. I mean, maybe it is. I don't actually know that it's a bad idea. Also, we probably would mark it unstable, I think, and discourage it. And to some degree, we already have it, because we have errors. Something to consider. You can return error values, which are only strings, but I'm sorry, you use errors to return values out of the... Right, which is the difference between them. So yeah, it's tricky. It requires some thinking. Some deep thinking, which I have not done. Partially, our issue is just there's so much to think about. You know what? I bet this is wrong. Because I bet that's using a border. Yep. Doesn't that irritate you? This should be a box shadow. See how it's like... It's tricky. The problem is that borders are like... Although, it's not a different border, so I wonder... Maybe it's a slightly bigger border? I don't know. Something's going on there, but it's not quite working. Procedures will solve this. I just haven't used them yet. Yeah. I also kind of disagree with... Okay, hold on, let me read this. Yeah, I also kind of disagree with it. Should be possible, Igor. Since the officially encouraged approach could be procedures. Good UX also requires some opinionation of the product and how to use it. But as we all agree, tricky question. It's a tricky question. I don't know that it's wrong. It might be like, oh yeah, there's this pattern that people want to do, and like let the people do what they want to do, and it's not a problem. Like it doesn't actually cause a lot of. It's not a noob trap. It's just a thing to do as a noob. In which case, yeah, I would want to include it. But if it's a noob trap, then that's a problem. Like I'll give an example of a noob trap, which feels like something you should do, is generally speaking a horrible idea. In Unity, you got the update function on every game object. Well, if you do that, which is like almost the obvious thing to do in Unity, very quickly you're going to have performance problems because you've got all these objects which are all updating themselves in like a random order, and like you can kind of reorder them, and there's like a whole thing about it. But like what you really should have done is had one game loop, and then do all of your game logic in it. So like that's an example of like, okay, cool, I made it halfway down. I've built a crap load of my game, but now I have to like unbuild it and rebuild it, not doing that same path. Because I did the thing that seems obvious. So, all right, I may wrap it up here unless you guys want to play one. Let's play one game of OpenFront. We'll just do one, and then I'm gonna get some food, and then I'm gonna work on the keynote, which I have to do. Maybe fixing the banner. Buy Pro if you guys haven't gotten Pro. It's a good way to support the project. For Unity, what you really should have had is a way to compile the update calls into a game loop programmatically. Into a game loop. Yeah, sure. The keynote is it's like the same as last year. It's just a video that's going up on YouTube. Am I signed in? Oh, fudge. I don't know if I signed out or signed in. All right, where should we begin, chat? Tell me where we should start from. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Mr. Whatever. Mr. I can't say your name. Thank you so much, Barking Owl. No pressure. I mean, I think if you think it's a good product, I don't want to. Australia. Let's win this one. What do you say, guys? What do you think? I'd rather win it than lose it. This guy next to me doesn't seem to be especially good. We don't know. This guy seems decent. Wow, I with him. We're gonna ally with. Go into that. Nice. Stole that from him. Let's go here. This guy's trying to like box me in. I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that at all. This guy is a bozo, is what he is. Now we're gonna box him in. Because he's wasting his troops on me, which is a foolish move. A foolish move. He doesn't have any cities yet, which is basically a disaster. Basically a disaster. He's still trying to attack me, even though he doesn't know what he's doing. That's rough. Get that one. We're gonna get them. And then you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna build one of these bad boys. We're gonna build it right there. No! We're gonna ally with this gentleman. And we're gonna try and ally with that gentleman as well. This guy's a fool. This gentleman is a fool. We're gonna lose. That's so sad. This Tchaikovsky guy is just really... He full sent me like a doofus. Why are they... They're both... I think they're teaming. That's what I think. That's so stupid. What an outrage. What an outrage. I have to do another one. Larger number does equal better. It's basically every game ever. We'll do one more. Basically, the goal is to take over the world. That's the short version. And there's... I'll explain the game when we get into it again. Alright, so you pick a location. In this case, we're Middle East and North Africa. Wow, everybody joined there. And then you will try to... These guys are bots. You can see it says bot in the top right. And these guys are players. And then you try to make as much money as possible so you can build structures. And you try to... Better location. Stick there. Ooh, okay. You try to attack other players. This number here is my troops, my troop count. It grows exponentially up until the maximum troop count. It's more like an S-curve. It's like a sigmoid. I guess, I actually don't know for sure, but it's what it seems like. So you want to get as much maximum population as possible, but then you also need population to grow your population. And you can build cities and stuff. We're going to go into Polis region first and see if we can cut off Mali. Fine. If you ally with people, then they can't attack you without getting a big debuff. So it's generally a good idea to ally with people. But not too many, because then you can't grow. And if you get kind of stuck and you've allied with too many people, then you can't grow and you end up losing the game. It's kind of the worst thing you can do in this game is be stagnant. Cities increase your max population. Factories give you more money, basically. It's a short version. Capturing people allows you to get all of their money from them. Let's go south. See if we can get around this guy. City. If you surround someone, you can what is called annex them, which means you can take their territory without fighting them. Which is obviously quite nice. And I have the crown, which means I have the largest thing here. We're going to build one of these. Okay, Mali is coming in on me. That's fine. No problem, no problem. We're going to build another city. We're going to ally up with a couple more people because I would like to do that. I think I may be forced to ally with Adolf Hitler. We'll see. We're gonna get all of Mali's structures, which is great news. Alright, now we're just gonna chill and we're gonna gain territory. Who's attacking me? ABDO. From where? Oh, this fool. Okay, Trader also. Just gonna do one tap into there because they have done this. Let's see. Can I get a connection to you? It's looking pretty good so far. I need to get a factory over there. If you're ahead, everybody wants to ally with you. If you're not, they don't. I would like to get there. I think we're gonna go in on this gentleman next. Oh, come on. Whatever, we'll just let that happen. We'll do this. Who is this? You know what? I'm gonna accept that. I don't know who this is. Yeah. Fine. Come on. He's gonna squeak in there. Like a doofus. Oh, cut him off. I swear, if he gets that territory, it's outrageous. He better not get these things. He's not going to. I need to connect this up very badly. We need to be friends. We need to be friends yesterday. We need to be friends, and we need love and happiness. And I need to place a city there. My gosh, I need to place a city there. An ally with this guy. Where do we go next? We could go for Anon. That's not a bad plan. But he's got a lot of things there. Sandwich wants an alliance. Let's do it. Let's do it. He is Hitler, isn't he? Right, let's take Hitler's alliance. This guy wants an alliance. Finally, we get to connect that up. I think I'm allied with like everyone around me, so I think I can't do that. I think we go in on him. Sadly. Sadly for him, we go in on him. But, you know, we're looking to win the game is the thing, so sometimes you just gotta go for it. Alright, we probably... Let's go down... Alright, let's start... what do we need to do? We need to build some of these bad boys. And then we're all connected up there. Permanent ally is technically fair game to go in on. Make me a mitochondria once. Yeah, we'll take that. I think we take this guy and we go in on a permanent ally. Sadly. Again, sadly. He might try and nuke me, but I don't think he's going to. So we've got a little mitochondria guy. Very nice. And I think I'm gonna need like some of these. Let's get one around there. Let's get one here. Let's get like one here, and then let's put some cities. Let's get some cities, and let's get another one of these, and then let's do like one of those there, and then let's do one of those there, and let's do this, and we'll do this, and then I'm gonna need to save. I think that's maybe not the right play. Okay, somebody wants me to go in on Hitler, and to be honest, let's do this gentleman first. I think that is not a bad play. So I think we cook Hitler. Well, we you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna ally with this guy. And we're gonna cook Hitler. As one does. We want to ally with that gentleman. He's given me the nuclear symbol, and that's makes sense. But I got him. That was maybe dumb because I kind of destroyed my own buildings there, but also might as well. Thanks for the free stuff. Okay, so now this guy wants an alliance. He wants to renew. I think we renew with him. Maybe that was not the play, but how much money does he have? He has 33 million, so I have to be allied with him. There is no choice to be made. I could keep Hitler around. I need 35 million for a thing. Sandwich here. Ooh, sandwich got. Please launch a MIRV. Yeah, do it. Throw some nukes out, sandwich. Do you have any nuke things? You don't have any. Alright, we're going in. Kind of overspent there, but whatever. Oh, somebody's gonna get all that money, and that's a problem. France ally has 12 million. Yeah, I might do it for the flavor. Because my name is Napoleon. Alright, now we have... So let's... Oh, am I getting... No, he's getting... Alright, let's go in on him. That's an easy one. Somebody MIRV'd him. Crazy. Alright, we gotta bring our attack ratio down. Am I a fan of RTS games? Yeah, pretty much. So... And now we have to, like, go after this. Where is he still alive? Where is he still alive? There he is. Where is he still alive? Oh no. Oh no. Yes, I got it. Okay. Alright, I think we have to ally. How much? Yeah, I have to ally with spicy beef. This person's way overspending, which is a bad plan. Hitler's done for, so we'll just do that. This anti-clanker gentleman is going to be... Don't give away all your land, please? Can I have some? Please? Alright, we're going to cook Phoenix when it's over. Who is this? Oh yeah, you're my friend. You are my friend. Build around you, and we're gonna just... We're gonna do that. And to be honest, I think we need to build a lot of stuff. And we're gonna do this. Yeah, we're gonna surround this gentleman with these. Let's give him some factories. As one does. As one does. And now this guy's over. How much money does he have? He does not have enough money. I say we renew with Renard here, who has 24 million. He's spent under a MERV, which is a bad plan. Who is this? Let's get that guy. He has a lot of money. This guy's spending way low, and I think we Come on, Renard. I'm gonna cook him. Alright, let's ally with that guy, and we're gonna cook Renard. He's gonna try and get off some guys, but it's not gonna be fast enough. Let's get over there. Now I gotta watch this guy, because if he nukes me, we don't like that. Okay, very good. Oh, that's Renard too. Oh, fudge. Oh, I did get nuked. No matter. No matter at all. Build some of this. No. Can't have too many ports. You guys gotta let me know if they're about to hook me with a MERV. For those of you who are familiar with this game. Because I do not want. I do not want to get cooked. I mean, he didn't ally with me. I tried to ally with him. I don't understand. Okay, Corleone coming in, but we don't like that. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a bunch of these. Can I cook spicy beef in time? That is the question. I don't know that I'm going to win this. Okay, we got into Corleone. This guy wants an alliance, we'll take that. Spicy Beef wants an alliance. I could cook him. I think we do it, chat. What do you think? Who's attacking me? Why? I think we cook. Yeah, we do it. We do it. We do it. We do it hard. There the Mervs go. We're gonna do. We're gonna Merv you, and we're gonna Merv you. And I think we Merv Spicy Beef too. And we probably have to Merv this guy as well. But we're gonna wait because he's allied. Now we're gonna wait. We're gonna spend some money. No, we're not gonna spend money, that's silly. Alright, we're at 64%. We just need to get, like, can I get in here? Here, let's do this. Where am I under attack? Explorer, okay, Explorer. Cool. That was a bad play. It's fine. How many? I gotta watch these fools. This is what I gotta do. This guy wants an alliance. I think we cook him. I think we cook him, and can I cook Spicy Beef? I don't know. I can't cook Spicy Beef, but I can cook this guy. Oh shit. I'm getting Merved again. Who Merved me? Another one being laid down upon me. Yeah, that's good. Fuck. The cancers are growing. And that sucks. I need like a stronghold. Spicy Beef has pressed through here pretty heavily. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do one of these. Let's see if he, hopefully he doesn't notice. Let's do this. Yep. I did spend under a Merv, so I now need to do this. Spicy Beef got. Phoenix is coming in on me. That's a problem. We're gonna try to grab back some of his land. I don't know. I don't think I played that especially well, did I? Explorer wants an alliance, and we could just cook him, couldn't we? Right? We have how many troops? Well, we don't have that many troops.
tomorrow back in Texas.
I think we got Live Explorer.
But after this, there'll be no more distractions.
We ally with Spicy Beef too. This sucks. Okay, let's see. What is chat telling me? Chat is telling me nothing. Need this guy again. What I need is a stronghold. I need. Oh no, he ate. That sucks. I didn't renew my alliance. I'm an idiot. I think we go in an anti-clanker. It's kind of dumb that my internal guy was taking that, but I need this. Actually, we should give him the alliance if he wants it. Which he does. Ah, I got nuked by who? Who nuked me? I need to turn off these trade notifications. It's crazy. Okay, Sployer is open. How much money does Sployer have? Sployer has... Okay, Spicy Beef is done, though. So we're gonna send a... No, I gotta get over there. Oh, shit. Do I have kill guard on Spicy Beef? I do not. That is important. Oh, yes, I do. I do. Let's see. Spicy Beef is there. We gotta get out there. Can I get out there? No, how did he get in? Is he an ally with Spicy Beef? That would be so dumb. Yes. Yes. Okay, that's big. Big if true. Big if true. That's really big, chat. That's really big. Because now we've got 100 million doll hairs. Okay, and we are going to be cooking with some of these. This guy's got 30 million. I feel like I don't like him. And I want to cook him. Where is he based? He's like all down there and stuff? Oh, he's down here. Okay. Alright, I think I have to ally with him though, because he's got a Merv. So, we don't really have a choice there. But we could do this. I don't have a thing. Okay, now what we gotta do is we gotta just absolutely build this up. So, I need a little stronghold. I think I'm gonna make it here. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I could get got, but I might not get got. So let's do this. Let's do this. The Phoenix is spending down. I should not have accepted that. I should have just cooked him. That was a mistake. Although I don't know if I have enough troops to cook him per se. I kind of do. It's just need to be a little bit cautious to not spend under a Merv. A little bit cautious. That guy's got not enough money. That guy's got a lot of money. This is tough. This is tough stuff. Okay, this guy's got 68 factories. We've got 77. He's got 91 things. This guy's got that. I don't like this guy. I don't like him. Oh, Merv's going out. Who's it going to? Is it Sployer? Please be Sployer. I don't have an ally with him. That would be ridiculous, though. He shouldn't go to Sployer. Where is that going to hit? It is Sployer. Throw the Merv, Sployer. Throw it. Throw the Merv. Throw the Merv, Sployer. He wants to ally with me before he throws his Merv. We're not doing it. Throw your Merv. Do we cook him? Do we cook him, chat? Throw your Merv. Or don't. I think we cook him. Can I get to him in time, though? That is the question. What if I do this? Is that awful? Let's see. He only has one silo. I think that's what we do, chat. I think that's what we do. I think we do that. And we cook him. That's diabolical. We cook him. But we need... No, I nuked it. That's stupid. I need to get to him because I need him. Well, this is Sployer too. Shit. Doesn't have any missile silos yet, but that's kind of a problem. Right. I think we do this. Who is attacking me? Oh, Merv's out. Sployer Merv inbound. Damn it, he got it off. We watch for this guy. Yeah, I would like to ally with you, sir. Fine, Sployer. Come back. We're gonna win this. Please. I accepted the. Did he? What the? Oh no! I lost my cities. I just built that. What was the point of that? That sucks. This guy wants an alliance again. We're back at it. How did he get? Did he scum me? Like, how did he get a Merv off? This guy's playing a long game. And I hate it. He's coming. Oh, we do hire all around the world. No, this guy's got enough. Please Merv him. Oh, this guy's been spending on our Merv. That was the foolish thing he did. Am I allied with Anon? I'm not. I think we just cook him. United Cities, 48. Oh, and who's coming at me? It's kind of silly. That's a problem. You need to not spend under a merv. Explorer's back at it. Ay, ay, ay. This Anon guy is a huge problem. Another question that I believe you were answered slightly. The referral program stay for a while. Yeah, a couple months. Probably until like June or something. I think I have to spend down, even though I don't have a merv. Nobody has a merv though. So let me just spend it. Oh, we're gonna win this, my friends. Ready? So the Phoenix foolishly has spent under a Merv, and now we're gonna do one of these bad boys. We're gonna cook him. He should have full sent me. He did not. He's a fool. Now the game has ended. He's gonna get cooked. GG's. GG's, boys. We won. Let us finish it out just for fun. Just for giggles. I think I logged out, sadly, so this doesn't go on my record, even though it was a 54-minute game. GG, chat. Another win for Napoleon. Chalk one up. That was near run. This guy, he didn't make the... He fent under a Merv, and that's a misplay. He really messed that one up. He really messed that one up. Arpeggi broke the alliance with me. Very sad times. Very sad times. You like to have a little stronghold, right? So that you can cook them even if they are after you. Where is that coming in? This guy has been like attacking other people on the board the whole game. We're going to Explorer just for fun. Just for fun. GG's. I remember checking out SpacetimeDB a year ago. I haven't following since. There are plans to make the project open source. It's open. Mr. ID is lit. Check it out on GitHub. Just Google SpacetimeDB. It will come right up. The most important thing is that we cooked him here in OpenFront. We cooked him. Arpeggi's trying to break out. That's cute. That's cute. We'll let him cook on that. Let him go for it. Why not? Why not? Are we going to be extra and actually wipe them off of the map? Of course we are. I really hope I was logged in. So sad. At least we've got it on stream. There's a possibility, probably only some parts open. The whole thing is nice. I'm using it for my batch project. Yeah, I mean, you can check it out on GitHub. It's absolutely usable, standalone as is. What's your bachelor's project? Nice. Get in there. Where are they? Let's see. Okay. We get that. Nice. We got all that money. Ching ching. Explorer's gotten got. Clean this up. Clean this up. The important thing is that they come off the leaderboard, because we can't have them. Can't have them coming back after we log off. Alright, who we got? We've got a non. Yeah, we'll get a non. Nice. And look at this gentleman. Where are you still? There you are. Nice, nice, nice. Now there is but one friend. We could let him take over the board. I'll try to cobble up a web multiplayer game with custom engine, Rust, SpacetimeDB, and web GPU, and whatever else might integrate. That sounds super cool. I think it's going to be great. Let's full send our Peggy. GG. See if you can click it fast enough. Nope. GG. Alright, everyone. Always fun. Important thing. We won the game. Cheers. Merry upcoming Christmas. See you around. Hopefully I probably will work on making, like, I think a web game or something like that on stream. I think that'll be fun. Alright. Bye, everyone. Yes, I do think that I would be happy to stream some SpacetimeDB.